Spicy.
I have a big bag of that. I ate one the other day.
What, this kind of snack?
I snack on that stuff. I drink. I got a canister like this high. 5 of those here before 2 o'clock.
I used to love these wasabi beans, you know, coated in wasabi. It's so hot, but I love it. But then after half a bucket, you need a beer. You were like,
Luckily, y'all put the time in. My executive assistant tell you I'll probably go 30 times a day.
30 pound?
At least.
What is that? Show me the picture. What are you drinking?
No.
Just water?
you should lower your amount of water and
Wait. Go.
Regular commission meeting at 7:34. Oh, sorry. Regular commission meeting at 7:34 PM, Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. Pledge, roll call, please. Sorry, I'm skipping around. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry, did you guys do a moment of silence for 9/11?
Yes.
Okay. Then I don't need to do it. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Jacobs,
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Here.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Here.
Vice Mayor Morset,
Here.
Mayor Mohammed.
Here.
We have quorum.
Okay. Is there anything anyone wants deleted or removed from the agenda other than me wanting 12.2? Yeah,
Who lost me on that one? You said what?
I'm removing 12.2.
Where's my
Where's your what?
thing? What thing? I don't have a thing.
4.2 to what?
No, she's removing it altogether, 12.2.
You want to use my pretty pen for this?
Oh, she removes it, okay.
Okay.
12.2.
Everybody else okay with everything else on there? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Make a motion to accept the agenda removing 12.2. Is it?
Okay.
I second.
Roll call.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Vice Mayor Morset. Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morset,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I'm gonna kind of skip around just because I know we have folks here that need to get out of here. So I'm going to skip to 8.2 and 8.3, which is Sweeney sign variance 4200 Hallandale Beach Boulevard. Town planner Michael Vonder Meulen.
Mayor, for the record?
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Commission. For the record, item 8.2 is a Sweeney's sign variance at 4200 Hallandale Beach Boulevard. 8.2 is a resolution 2024-015. The item is a resolution of the Town Commission, the Town of Pembroke Park, Florida, approving a sign variance application number 24-SV-03, attached to Exhibit A, granting the sign variance for the property generally located at 4200 West Hallandale Beach Boulevard in Pembroke Park, Florida, providing for conflict, severability, and providing for an effective date. And for the record, Mayor and Commission, this is a quasi-judicial item, so there's a certain procedural trapping of the item, and I would just ask that anybody who's going to speak to the item be sworn in. There'll be a formal record that's submitted to the city clerk, part of a record. The item is subject to ultimately an order and appeal, keeping in mind that the commission's decision as it relates to these items should be based on the testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing this evening. Thank you, Mayor and Commission. Just swear you in, Mike, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
We're good.
before we start. Mayor, Commissioners, is it possible that we also go ahead and introduce 8.3? We'll do one presentation for both items and then we can vote on them separately.
Sound like a plan?
Oh, no problem.
Okay, you ready to swear 'em in?
Yeah, ready?
Yep.
Ed, do you- anybody-
Yes,
and
yeah.
this is for anybody who's going to speak on the item. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give this evening is the truth, nothing but the truth? The answer is
do.
yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. For the record, Mike Vonder Meulen with Keith, your consultant town planner. The first application is a sign variance for Sweeney's. Marlon, if we could go to page 34 of the presentation. We'll go straight to the graphic. There are actually three specific sections of the code that are being requested for variance on this. But we'd like to show you the uniqueness of this particular application.
This is his presentation.
Oh, do you have
So which one's your presentation?
page 34 of the agenda package?
I think you have to resort to crayons.
All right, if commissioners have their packages, it's page 34, and it's essentially just the graphic of the sign. Again, there are specifically 3 variances being requested.
Michael, do you want to
This-
just,
I don't know what is happening.
Yes, yeah,
you want to just take my packet?
sure.
I have no idea.
See,
what-
paper still comes in handy. I don't know if you need that page or not.
Oh, this is fine.
Okay.
So essentially what the applicant is attempting to do is, this is the old tropical fish store. There is an existing sign that is out there, which is attached to the building. Technically, it's a pole sign, but for the most part, it looks like a pylon sign. So it was the idea to go ahead and reuse the existing sign face. So the signage that is there now will be removed, and to the far left of page 34, you will see that the sign will have Sweeney's at the top, and then Liquors going vertical, and essentially that is so it's just a reuse of the existing signage that is on the property.
These LED lights, are they permanently on, or are they blinking, or? They're just
Yeah,
permanently.
Yeah, there's no LED for this one. That's a different. We have an ordinance coming up a little bit later. This is just a sign.
Okay.
Just painting it.
The second request is to have a parking reduction for one space. When the applicant originally came in, we tried, because of health, safety, welfare issues, we would like to get rid of the parking that backs out directly onto Hallandale Beach Boulevard. So the applicant was amenable to that, came in with an application to go ahead and eliminate those parking spaces, putting in some additional landscaping, some pavers and walkways that go from the building to the public sidewalk. And then essentially what there are is there's, there we go, thank you. So there are essentially 4 spaces there right now. Those 4 spaces are being eliminated with landscaping and pedestrian access. And then the handicap parking space is being turned 90 degrees and placed right there towards the front to allow access into the building, handicap access to the building. So without eliminating any other green spaces on the property, we had gone ahead and recommended approval of just eliminating 1 parking space for this site. So the applicant is here. The applicant's representative is also here, and they can make further presentation and answer any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, Craig McDonald with Corporate Property Services on behalf of Liquors.
Sorry.
We have our presentation. So we'll start off with the sign first. This is an existing legal non-conforming freestanding sign. To answer your question, Vice Mayor, it's non-illuminated. There is no illumination with this sign. There's some uplighting on the building, but that's it. If you go to, what's unique about it, if you go to page 4 on this, the sign is actually built structurally into the building, which would never occur today. You can see the one column here comes up through the roof. So in order to take that out, you'd be putting major renovations into the roof in the building. We're just asking to reface the existing sign, but in order to do so and make it a legal non-conforming sign, we need 3 variances. One is the minimum lot frontage, which what's requires 100. This site only has 75. Can't expand that. The maximum freestanding height allowed is 25 feet under the code. This is 27.5 feet. And then the maximum sign area is 75 square feet. This is 92. The variance we're asking for are minimal in nature with the request. It's obviously critical to the success of a new business like Sweeney's on Hallandale Beach Boulevard. It's in order to achieve adequate business identification and achieve branding recognition. And with that, I'll move on to the parking reduction, unless you have any questions about the sign that I
So you're just replacing a sign with the sign?
Yes, sir. That's it.
And I'm just gonna ask, how much has the town charged you for permits for that?
It's a good question.
For each side, I paid $3,750 for each side.
That was for the sign variances, not for the sign permit itself.
Okay, hold on one second. You said 3,700 and what?
And 50
50 per side.
per side, because one's going north
Right.
and one's going south.
So that's 7,500 just for signs.
Yeah,
And what was the permit fee?
that was the permit fee.
That was, okay, what other fee was
No,
charged?
sorry, that wasn't the permit fee, that was for them to,
The variances.
the variance for it.
Okay, so that's for the variance for 7,500. What was the permit fee? How much was that?
Permit fee, if we succeed over here, then they're gonna give us the permit fee.
And how much is that, do you know?
They said it all depends on how much it's gonna cost to put the new sign, which they're only panels, because those are 4
Yeah.
different panels. So, 95 Signs is actually the one that's pulling the
Yeah.
permit, doing the sign. They charged about, maybe 3,500 to 4,000 for both sides, for the panels and the,
So
Probably like-
you're paying $4,000 for a sign.
yes.
Then you're paying another 7,500
Yes.
just for the variance of the sign. And then, okay, 4,000 aside or 4,000 total?
No, each of the variances cost.
No, I mean for the sign
For
itself.
the sign, the guy said because the city did it both sides, he's gonna split it in half and put 2,000 one side, 2,000.
Okay, so another 4,000.
Yes,
All right, 4,000. And then there's permitting on top of that?
yes.
Okay.
And when 95 Signs talked to the city with Jeffrey, he told them, I've never heard you have to pay both sides. Usually
Yeah, I
the
know,
side is
I know the company, so I've spoke with them before. I wanted to bring this up to the commission, so the commission sees how absolutely ridiculous the town of Pembroke Park is with their signage and their fees when it comes to this. This is absurd. Sign companies do not want to do business in the town of Pembroke Park for the amount we're charging our business owners. They refuse to come to Pembroke Park. There's several of them that will not do business here. Same with HVAC companies. They don't want to do business in Pembroke Park because of our permitting process here in the town, which is, again, absolutely ridiculous. So I'm bringing this up for the commission to see what our business owners and our residents are paying when it comes to this. These need overhauled and readjusted. So
it was a lot, because if I wanted to remove the sign and put the sign on the building in front, channeled letters, and on the side, it would have been a lot cheaper for me to do. But because the pole is going, Joe, the prior owner,
Yep.
had just redid the whole roof with the cherry roofing. He did the whole roof before I took over the place. And to do that, cherry roofing came in, we're gonna have to demolish this whole section to remove that pole, to cut it. And then we went with the variance.
I got it.
Variance on it.
I got it. I just was trying to point something out to this commission on how ridiculous our
It would have
fees
been
are.
finished all completely, channeled letters onto the building, on the side of the building, would have been $6,000. Beautiful, lighting sign, everything, but I'm working with what I have now, and I'm gonna make it look beautiful. I'm really gonna clean it up, clean the building, paint the building, clean up the sign, bring it back the old way, a little bit like South Beach, keep the old vintage buildings, refurbish them, redo them really nice, and change that front. I'm putting windows in the front where the blue is. That's gonna be one big window in the front. So at least people, when they walk in, they're walking in from the front instead of parking in the front and backing it up into the street where the pedestrians are walking on scooters, on bikes, on whatever, they get hit right there. So put grass there, people are not gonna park, and put poles in front of the windows, column poles. So if a car does try to come, won't be able to.
So, I know you have a couple businesses like I do.
Yes,
Do you consider yourself corporate America or small mom and pop business?
I'm a small and pop business,
So you're the backbone of what our country's about, right?
absolutely.
Exactly. And here we are.
This is for my children, and hopefully my children can continue with this, you know. I got my daughter, I took my daughter out of corporate America to come and help me, you know. She worked for Raymond James for 4 years, and you know, I needed the help when I was hurt, and she's continuing with me, and this is what we're doing. And we've been in Pembroke Park since 2006. We've been here, we've helped the city. I know everybody on the commission board, I know everybody on the mayors, and I want to keep growing, and I want my children to keep growing. And this is a great city that we can do a lot in the city, you know. We're just got to clean it up and make the streets look nicer, and everybody to follow the beat. Pretty much, that's what we're trying to do. Sweeney's has been there since 1964. It was a garage. Then it turned into a bar. Then turned into a liquor store bar. And I've maintained that building. If you go back in history, when I lost it in 2010, between 2010 and 2014, somebody came in. They did stuff without pulling permits, without doing anything. I came back. I threw them out. I took back the building. I pulled all the right permits. I literally did everything by the book, and I still do things by the book. All I'm asking is, you know, let's make it nicer, and let's make it cleaner, and work with what we have, basically, you know.
Thank you for answering my questions.
Chandler, is there a chance we could look at the fee schedule and try and harmonize it with the neighboring towns so we're kind of like on the same level, or?
Yes, back to my previous conversation in the budget, when I was discussing the review of costs for services, that is part of that plan to review our cost of services in the building department.
Yeah, we have to be reasonable.
Thank you.
I'll be real brief to show you what we got for the parking. There you see the 4 parking spaces that we're talking about that back out onto the sidewalk and, you know, back out into Hallandale Beach Boulevard. You can see them in the aerial right here. And there, as you can see, this is going to become ADA compliant as well.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to have an ADA connection to the public sidewalk, which is required by the Florida Building Code. You'll have the closest space to the front door will be the ADA spot and the 5-foot pedestrian walkway. Then you've got pavers all in front of the building leading out to the sidewalk, and the new 3 green areas there that's really going to enhance the visual that you'll get from the building from Hallandale Beach Boulevard there. And so essentially we're losing 1 parking space. We're going from 10 down to 9. But I think safety and safe site circulation is more important than the 1 parking space.
Backing
As does
that up,
David.
Hallandale Beach Boulevard is the worst thing you could possibly do.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
We all agree on that.
Yep.
So,
With that, request approval.
Anything else?
No, sir.
all right, I'll make a motion to approve Sweeney sign variance for 4200 Hallandale Beach Boulevard, resolution number 2024-015.
I second.
You know, just open the public hearing, Mayor.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak? Nope. I close it and bring it back before the commission. Roll call.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Vice Mayor Morissette. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morissette?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And Mayor, if I may, just to read the title for 8.3 into the record, and for the record, the parking reduction approval is Resolution 2024-016, a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Pembroke Park, Florida, approving the parking reduction application number 24-PR-01 attached to Exhibit A, submitted by Sweeney's 7 LLC, a Florida limited liability company for certain real property located in the Lake Forest, Section 4R sub, POR 43B Lot 8 West 10, 8A, West 10, 9, less West 10, 9A, less the West 10th Block 50, Public Records of Broward County, Florida, providing for conditions of approval, providing for recording of the parking reduction order of the Public Records of Broward County, providing for severability, superseding conflicting resolutions, and providing for an effective date. And just for the record, Mayor and Commission, the presentation that you just heard will be incorporated into this item for quasi-judicial purposes. And Mayor, prior to taking a vote, I would just ask you open this up to a public comment as well.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this matter? No. Close it.
Make a motion to approve Sweeney's parking reduction resolution number 2024-016.
I second.
Roll call.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Vice Mayor Morset. Vice Mayor Morset?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed? Commissioner Jacobs?
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir, just one thing. Don't let me catch you carrying palm trees by yourself again. All right, have a good day.
All right. All three of those real quick now. That way you can leave. All right. 10.1,
You keep it.
LED,
Oh, okay, good.
LED sign code amendment.
May I, Mayor? Just For the
Yes.
record, item 10.1 is ordinance 2024-008, an ordinance of the Town of Pembroke Park, Florida, amending Chapter 21 of the Town's Code of Ordinances entitled Signs and Advertising, amending Article 2 entitled Signs by amending Division 1 entitled Comprehensive Regulations and Requirements, amending Section 21-17 entitled Definitions, Section 21-19 entitled Prohibited Signs, providing an exception to the prohibition of LED lighting, amending Section 21-20 entitled Permanent Signs to allow LED lighting on windows and doors on properties engaging in non-residential uses, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, severability, and providing for an effective date. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, Mike.
Good evening again, Mayor, Commissioners, Mike Vonder, Meulen with Keith. It's generated from, excuse me, a text amendment that was processed through the town back in 2023 that allowed for the essentially what we call the open sign, but you couldn't call it an open sign. But, you know, a 2 square foot illuminated greeting sign that was permitted on the windows and doors of the businesses. And during the discussions of that presentation and of that ordinance, it was recommended to go ahead and also include LED lighting, which would essentially just the outline of windows and doors of a business to assist with them, especially as the evenings get darker, quicker, that you'll be able to see that these businesses are open. So this text amendment essentially allows that. What it does, so it allows the outlining with LED lights. It does not allow any animation or blinking. It's just to go ahead and allow essentially the outline lighting of the windows and doors on a particular business.
Okay.
This went to the Planning and Zoning Board in May. They recommended approval as well.
Okay.
Well, I have no problem with that as long as there's no blinking lights that distracts the drivers. As it's solid lights, I'm fine with it.
I got an issue with it because I do own a business that has this type of stuff on it. And I feel that this, again, is going to be used by the half of code enforcement, the mayor, the town clerk, the building official, to continue to harass my businesses or my business, my family. So I have an issue with this, especially when it eliminates the animation or automation, whatever you want to call it, of the signs. Now, do we need to move forward with some updating of our antiquated signs ordinances We have a ban on neon in the town because they say it distracts from your eyes while you're driving down the road. Yet we have a billboard that's a giant television right in town. That is more distracting than anything else in this town. Where do you come to some common sense here? This ordinance, I think, is unacceptable. I think we need a complete overhaul of our ordinances, bring them into reality. Because if we can have gigantic televisions as billboards in the town, you're afraid of a little blinking light in a window of a business with you small mom and pop business owners trying to attract some attention to their business and drive some business in. I got an issue with that.
Okay, so this was my item. Basically, I had numerous complaints along Hallandale Beach Boulevard. If you go to the barber shop, if you go to the smoke shop, Subways, the restaurant there, you can't tell whether businesses are open or closed. They pretty much look exactly like this when you're driving by. It's also a hazard when you're trying to come in because you don't know whether they're open or closed, or when you're coming out because it's completely dark on those businesses with their glass fronts. There was a request from numerous businesses in the city that asked to be allowed to have LED lights in their windows so that they could, A, attract more businesses, which is what you want to do, and B, to have lights illuminating the parking lot so that it would be a safer thing. This, again, I'm not exactly sure why there is some correlation between your personal businesses when the request came in from businesses up and down Hallandale Beach Boulevard. I do believe that our sign system, our sign ordinances, and our ordinances in general do need a complete overhaul, but I think this is the first step in moving this forward so that we can give the businesses some form of relief. I also believe in flag signs and everything else, but I think that's something for the commission to decide at a later point. Today, what I am asking for is for this commission to move forward in allowing these businesses to be able to put the LED track lights around their doors to outline their doors and windows so that you can know whether or not the businesses are actually open and see into them.
Yeah, we can work on your proposal at another meeting.
Is there any comment from the public regarding this? Yes.
I know the issue, guys.
I'm sorry, your name and for the record?
George.
Okay.
Speak in the microphone, please, sir.
I know the issue you guys had with that because we had some luminance signs maybe 6 years ago in right behind the Wendy's on
Pembroke Road.
Pembroke Road, right behind. We still have a store there, and because of the Wendy's that was blocking us, we put LED signs around the windows. I know Metro had it too. Subway had it. I know about the signs. I think if we follow an ordinance in the city, if we say it has to be white, then everybody has to follow protocol on white, not having white, red, green, all the colors like Holland. You know, if you go to Hallandale, they have them all along down the street, but it's all multiple colors. I think if you come and say, okay, there's 3 colors that we can use, white, red, or green, just saying.
You had green in your business.
Yeah, you know, yes, that's right. And I remember at the time, they made us actually scrape them off the windows to make sure they weren't there no more, you know. But on Christmas, we're allowed to put them. We're allowed to put them from November after Thanksgiving all the way to January 20th, if I'm not mistaken. So you can put them for 3 months, but then have to remove them completely off. And is there people going to bicker on it? I don't think so, but I really do think that if we put that, it's going to attract a lot more business to the community. And if we all play fair, we do it the right way, I think everybody can, and I'll go for that. You know, I think everybody can do it the right way if we all do it the right way. You know, choose 3 colors or choose 2 colors, red or white or whatever colors that doesn't really bother the eyes when people are driving. I don't think it does. I think it makes a person look, oh, you know what, the business is open. You know, it helps everybody. It helps. I know I have one of my tenants, Sabrina. She has a food truck. I know you guys allowed the food trucks now, but she's been going through a battle. You know, she's It's been 3 months. She's still waiting for one permit. She passed every single other permit. She's still waiting for one with the fire marshals. So we have a big issue going on. We go to the city, we sit down, we come every day, we talk to the staff. They throw us the puck, tell us, well, we need to go see somebody else. She needs to feed her family. She's a single mother. She just spent $20,000 on her truck, another $3,000 on the sprinklers, and now they told her she needs to do a permit for the sprinkler, but it's in a mobile truck. So I don't know what's going on in the city, you know. So we just really need to see who's really in charge, because everybody's just throwing the puck back and forth on this.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
Sir, just as long as you don't put a Christmas tree up before Thanksgiving, okay?
Yeah,
And down by New Year's?
it said down by New Year's.
Okay.
You know, thank you for listening.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sabrina, did you want to speak? Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely something we need to work on.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sabrina. I manage Anytime, and I also have a
Tilt
food
it down a
truck.
little bit towards you.
I'm sorry. You
There
can
you
hear
go.
me now?
Yeah.
If you could
I
sign,
also,
sorry. If you could sign in also, I couldn't hear your last name.
Okay.
I know this is
You
your
can do it
first,
afterwards,
it's
it's okay.
okay.
My name is Sabrina Singletary. I've been managing Anytime Bar and Lounge for 8 years for David, and now I have my own food truck. And my food truck didn't come with a fire inspection, so I spent $2,700 2 months ago to get a fire suppression. So when I came and got a permit, paid for the permit for them to fire inspection and come back out, he told me that I had needed a permit. I went back to the city fire. They never heard of me getting no permit. I went back today to tell them that I need a permit because I'm closed down. And they told me it was $2,900. I paid $2,700 to get it. And everybody I went to, they told me they never heard of me getting a permit for a fire inspection, for a fire thing.
It's pretty nuts. You got to pay about $5,000 in permits for a food truck.
And they never heard of it.
Yeah. I understand.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's $5,000 for a permit?
No,
have
all
no idea
total
what
altogether, it gets expensive.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I just wanted to know how much it is for permit.
I have no idea what
They
we
gonna
charge.
pull a
so.
permit, but they want $2,900 just for the permit, for me to put a permit.
Okay. The city manager will look into it and he'll get back to you regarding this.
Please reach out to him sometime during the week.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you.
If you could write down your information and your telephone number, that way we can get back to you.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So the current item before you is the LED lighting to allow the businesses to have LED lighting in their windows. And that's what the item is before you. We can also address the other items that was mentioned by the commission that needs to be given direction to Michael Vonder Meulen so that he can move it forward through planning and zoning as well. So right now on the table is LED lighting. Are you guys?
Yeah, let's move forward with this, and then let's put on the agenda when we have some more information from the town manager.
Okay. So is there a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance number 2024-008.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay. Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Morsat, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Mayor Mohammed,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs,
No.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morsat.
Yes.
Motion passes.
10.2, thank you. Code 10.2 code text amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. Commission, for the record, item 10.2 is ordinance number 2024-009, an ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Pembroke Park, Florida, amending Chapter 13.5 to land development of the Town of Pembroke Park Code of Ordinances by creating Article 8 to be entitled Quasi-Judicial Proceedings, creating Sections 13.5-80 through 13.583 of the Town of Pembroke Park's Code of Ordinances, establishing quasi-judicial procedures for Pembroke Park, providing for the intent, providing for definitions, identifying quasi-judicial matters, providing for procedures for quasi-judicial proceedings, including but not limited to ex parte communications, notification, presentation of evidence, and preparation of an order, providing for codification, providing for conflict, severability, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, Michael?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Mike Vonder, Meulen with Keith. This particular ordinance is essentially just codifying a lot of the things that the planning department and the town attorney already do in terms of quasi-judicial proceedings. So in here, you'll see the ordinance. It goes, and I thank the town attorney who provided this model ordinance for us. And then we just customized it to include all of the particular items that are specific to the town of Pembroke Park. So you have the intent, you have the definitions. It identifies the particular applications that are quasi-judicial in nature. Then it establishes the processes. The sworn testimony, the introduction of evidence, the making sure that the staff reports are included in the evidentiary proceedings, and then formalizes the types of recommendations that you can have, clarifies the final ordinances, how to continue an item, establishes an appeal period. Also in here, in great detail, is a little bit more discussion about ex parte communication, and we could go into explaining that. So when a quasi-judicial application is in front of you or the Planning and Zoning Board, anytime that you visit the site or meet with any of the applicants or property owners, that just needs to be placed into the record. You're not prohibited from meeting with them. You're not prohibited from going to the site. But if you do, you just need to make a record of it. Identify who you met with, the dates and times, and also the dates and times of a site visit. And it just formalizes the process a little bit more. Make sure that it's fair and everything is open to the public and open for the citizens to review. So with that, this item did go to the Planning and Zoning Board in May. They did recommend approval, and staff also recommends approval.
Yeah, and if I could just add, Madam Mayor, this really is a procedural item. There's a quasi-judicial proceedings are dictated by Florida law. There's case law that tells us what types of actions are quasi-judicial. We know when the commission is considering most items, you're acting in a legislative capacity. When you adopt ordinances, when you approve contracts, those are all legislative actions of the commission. But when you're considering certain land use matters that affect people's property rights, you're essentially sitting as a judicial body. It's a quasi-judicial body, but you're the judges and the arbiters of the application that's before you. And in that process, the applicants have rights. Those rights are protected under Florida law and under federal law. What this ordinance does is it lays out a framework for those proceedings. One of the things that Mike and his team had noticed and that my office had noticed as we've gotten more involved in the town is when we would get quasi-judicial applications, we would inquire, we look to the code, what does the quasi-judicial ordinance say? And there hasn't been anything. It was sort of a glaring omission in the town code, and we've been operating in accordance with the general procedures under Florida law, but we both thought it was proper to actually codify some process specifically for Pembroke Park, which is consistent with your surrounding communities, and that's the item that's before you this evening.
So I just want to make sure that, since this will be affecting all of us up here, that we are given adequate notice of things that are going before planning and zoning, because currently we have no idea what's going before planning and zoning, so we don't want to get stuck in a situation where we get in trouble for having a discussion with the resident that we didn't know was before planning and zoning.
Well, and if I may, to that point, Mayor, the disclosure would only be required at the commission level. So, you would know if something has gone through planning and zoning.
It was planning and zoning.
Well, no. It applies to your planning and zoning board.
Okay.
In other words, these procedures would apply to every step of the land development process.
Mm-hmm.
But for purposes of your disclosure and this commission's disclosure, the items will have gone through planning and zoning. You'll have the backup for the agenda, and you'll be able to see whether or not you've had any communications with any parties to that application.
Okay. Well, we just need to make sure that we're aware before a resident comes to us when the agendas are only coming out the week before.
Yeah, understood.
So that could be just a little problematic.
Yeah, if there's any way that our department can communicate better with the commission, either through the town attorney and town manager, we will certainly do that. We do set up cases when in quasi judicial applications do go through the development review committee first. So there is adequate time to at least let the commission know, either at every workshop meeting, every commission meeting. We could provide a report of all the active applications that are currently pending through the town. And then we could also put projected dates of when they may proceed to the Planning and Zoning Board, or may proceed to the Town Commission. That is something certainly we can provide.
Okay. Okay, so. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this? No? Okay. Their motion?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 24009.
I second.
Roll call.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Vice Mayor Morset. Commissioner Jacobs.
Yes. Jacobs with the S.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Krisham.
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morset.
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, second reading for these will be on October 9th?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay. Okay, Mike, stay up there. One more.
Okay.
12.1, moratorium on self-storage units. So, I sent, basically a lot of the cities are putting moratoriums right now on self-storage, public storage units, because they're actually popping up all over the place. And I asked Mike to look into how many we have in this city. And I also sent some articles out. You guys, it's a separate little attachment.
Yeah, we have about 3, don't we?
No, we have more than that.
No, we
Yeah,
haven't.
so, Mayor, if you'd like, I could go ahead and
Yes, please.
briefly go through an email that I provided to the mayor. Because this was something that was coming up in a workshop. So we researched it very quickly. There are 7 self-storage facilities in the town of Pembroke Park at this time. And we have them listed, and I go ahead and provide them. There's Value Store, Extra Space, Armadillo, Smart Safe Storage, 1800 Warehouse, Public Storage, and Seneca Self Storage, which is also going to be an extra storage. And also just let you know some history. Self-storage facilities are only permitted in the M1 zoning district. The recent construction of the Seneca self-storage received, because it's located in B1, it had received a special approval from the town commission, maybe somewhere between 2020, 2022. And we can provide that information if you need to find more history on how that particular self-storage facility was located in a B1 zoning district instead of M1. Right now, also, there is one pending application for self-storage facility in the town. That is the public storage facility located essentially at I-95 and Pembroke Road. What they plan on doing is demolishing the existing facility and building a multi-story self-storage facility. It is going through the site plan approval process. It probably will also require a parking waiver because the demand for parking in a self-storage facility is much lower than a regular warehouse facility. So there'll more than likely be 2 active applications that will come forward that actually would be exempted from the moratorium because they had applied prior to the moratorium being put in place. Other than that, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions?
No, I didn't. I literally did not know we had that many.
Thank you.
If I may just add as a matter of procedure, Mayor, generally, a moratorium would require an ordinance. So to the extent the commission wanted to move forward with this item tonight, I would take that as direction to work with your planning consultant and staff to bring back an ordinance to that effect for your consideration at the next meeting.
Are you guys all in agreement to move this forward?
Yes.
Okay.
I will take that as their consensus. I will take that as direction. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mike.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Dave, I'm gonna get you out of here next. As soon as I figure out where it is on the agenda. 11.5, Second Amendment for lobbyist contracts. Mr. Williamson?
Yes, these are our contracts for all of our services for lobbying, services for Pembroke Park. I think we extended these contracts, I believe, in January for about 9 months for an extension till September 30th. That's correct, Town Attorney. Now we're coming back for a full renewal of these contracts for services, for legislative services for the town of Pembroke Park. Consecutively, all of these contracts have the same language in outputs for services for Pembroke Park. So there's no difference in the contract except the name of the agency.
I would just also add, Mayor Commission, you may recall when you last considered these items, there was direction to my office to align the terms, because previously they were staggered as far as when the various contracts expired. So as the manager indicated, there was I believe a 9-month extension at one point. All of these contracts are now on the same term cycle, so they'll come back for renewal each year at the same time.
Okay.
But other than the change to the term, there's no other substantive revision to the agreements before you.
Okay. So is there any discussion?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
My only discussion on it is we have 4 contracts, and they're for legislative services. And what we've noticed is a gap in representation at the county level for many of our services that deals with the Broward League of Cities, the Broward Commission, and all of those policy forums that are occurring at the county level. We really don't have a full representation in that area. So one of our professional service contracts, he's local and he understands that area. And so we could possibly come back and make some adjustments to one of these contracts and move his services to the local area to fill that gap, to assist in ensuring that we are provided all the information from the local entities, specifically Broward County, and bridging those relationships that have been a little bit strained over the years. But I think we should strongly consider that. And so that would remove one of these items as a lobbyist for Tallahassee and focus on our local issues here in the county. That can be a discussion here tonight if you choose just to move forward and keep everyone, in the same, space as far as representing us in Tallahassee. That's fine. But I think there's a need for understanding what our local issues are, MOT and all those other grants and conversations that we're missing at that level. We need someone to represent us locally. I spoke with Mr. Segerson about this recently. He certainly understands the landscape here locally. He's certainly willing to revise his services for us and move in a different direction for us locally, if that is a consideration.
Yeah, I believe we should look into where we get our information from for both lobbyists, but I believe that the Florida League of Cities also provides some sort of lobbyists.
They provide legislative services on a broad scope for all municipalities, all changes in state law that affects all municipalities, home rule, et cetera. We do have a legislative branch in Florida League of Cities, but that too requires, as you know, Vice Mayor, representation on committees, as you and I have been appointed to recently to serve on. So that's actually my role and your role, because we're on those committees, to bring that information back to the commission and the town. But that too requires some representation. But you and I, because we've been appointed to those committees, will be filling that role.
Yeah, we need to find out what serves us best in this consulting, because we have a lot of lobbyists compared to other cities, right?
Well, our lobbyists do different things, so each one of them has a specific area that they focus on. CAS is, they specifically deal with our engineering stuff, like the stormwater stuff and things like that, our infrastructure stuff. So each one kind of does something different. CAP, I'm sorry, I'm saying CAP.
Marlon, could I say something?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
I have been in the town for a couple of years now, and I have two lobbyists that I have never seen, met, heard from, got any kind of report from. They're just non-performing as far as I'm concerned, and I think we need to, just look at those contracts, see what we got out of them, and if we're not getting anything out of them, why are we paying them?
I agree.
How many times have you been to Tallahassee?
I don't need to go to Tallahassee, sir, to find out what they're bringing to our town for us.
So you've never gone up to meet with our consultants?
I have not, sir. I have a handicapped wife. I like to stay home as much as possible.
It's at the commission's pleasure what we want to do with these 4 contracts. If you want to, reduce some of these contracts, remain the same. I see a gap in local services from my perspective. These 4 contracts predate me. It's not for me to say if they're top heavy. They are part of our budget. And so we have to account for them, for the 24-25 fiscal year. I'm addressing some local services that I see a gap in that we need to close locally. I haven't had an opportunity to work with this legislative team for a full year as of yet, and to see their performance in Tallahassee for us bringing dollars home for the town. Obviously, because it predates me, someone saw the need for a full slate of lobbying at this level for Pembroke Park. So there was obviously a need at the time to have these 4 lobbyists working on our behalf.
Part of these lobbyists is to prevent annexation from the neighboring community. That was the basis prior to me even coming here for several of these. So they work due to trying to prevent the neighboring municipality from annexing us or taking over the community. So there's bills that have come up that they actively take part in attacking and preventing us from losing our community. So.
Yeah, each one of the lobbyists is pretty much doing a different function. You could literally have one big lobbying firm that's going to charge you twice as much as what all the little contracts are equaling out to, or you can have people who specialize in specific areas. Tidewater has been successful. Dave Segerson has been successful in fighting off the annexation battles that have occurred. Tidewater has also been successful in dealing with different legislative bills that have come up that have been trying to force different regulations down our throats. Helmage is also a part of that team. Helmage's contract is a as-needed contract where he has a retainer where if we don't need him, we're not paying for additional hours and services. It's only if we have to pull the trigger that he's there. So it's not a real cost to us of there's an hourly cost or a big cost, because it's literally just, hey, we have you on retainer. If we need you, then we'll execute. We make that call. Like I said, each one of them do different things. Some are dealing with the issues that are forced on our government that they're trying to do. Some of them are dealing with the annexation, and some of them are dealing just specifically with the money that's coming home. So that's why there are 4 separate contracts up here that you see, with each one having a specialty in those areas. In addition, some lobbyists don't work across the board, so you have some that are specializing in which parties they deal with. And we know that Florida has not been primarily, the legislature has not been a primarily Democratic or Republican. So you have to have people that are able to work on across the board on those different teams or those different sides, as you would like to say.
If you do have a D behind your name and you're up in Tallahassee, it is very difficult. And if you actually take the time to meet with these lobbyists, understand what they do and what they do for this municipality, it's critical that we keep them here for at least another year so the town manager can also assess the situation with the lobbyist as well and see the need for them.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins have something to say.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with any of that, Commissioner Jacobs or Mayor. I would like to see some sort of reporting to the town of what exactly they are doing. We get reports from David Segerson. We get reports from the couple other lobbyists. We don't get anything from two of these lobbyists, and I don't know who they are. Like I say, I've never met them, and they don't report to our town anything, and all they're doing is cashing our checks, as far as I can see.
You gonna come up, Dave? I know that
It would be nice to know what we are literally paying for and what we get from this lobbyism, and we need to have some comparison and alternatives also. There are some, maybe the Florida League of Cities, the Broward League of
they're
Cities.
not lobbying for our issues that affect the city.
This is one thing I will back the mayor on. We're in a very good spot with the lobbyist team that we have for the municipality. They know the history. They've been working with this town for a long, long time, and I don't think we could have a better team representing us.
Go ahead, Dave.
Mayor, Commissioners, David Sigerson, consultant for the town. Excuse me. Throat's getting a little dry in here. To address Commissioner Hodgkins' concern, each month I sort of act like a team leader, coordinator, or whatever you want to call it, of the team in Tallahassee. And the mayor is correct. Each member of the team is there for a specific reason. Tidewater is I guess I'd like to call them the heavy artillery. If we really get into trouble, Tidewater, Richard Coates has the connections with the Republican rank and file and leadership that we would need if our backs were against the wall. And I won't go into any more detail. I think Commissioner Jacobs knows what I'm talking about, and some of the others. Once upon a time, our backs were against the wall every single year. If we solved that problem, it would raise its head periodically every 3 or 4 years. And so Richard essentially, thank you. Richard essentially, excuse me, let me, thank you. That helped. Richard how do I put this? When I think there is a need for him to engage, I call him and he responds in whatever we need. And that includes contacting the governor's office during the budget process or setting up meetings, as Commissioner Jacobs and Mayor Mohammed know, having been in Tallahassee, both of them a number of times, that often he will be setting up important meetings along with the meetings that I set up, along with the meetings that Connie sets up, or excuse me, that Decoursey may set up for us. So that's Richard, and then there's Bill Helmick, Helmick Consultants, who is, by the way, in case some of you had not heard, he has recently become the executive director of the Republican Party of Florida. He talks to the governor's office several times a week. So he is, for $5,000, he has a very good insurance policy to have at that price. He was originally brought in when there were rumors of the possibility of one of our neighboring cities making a move on Pembroke Park, and he was brought in, as the mayor explained, on an as-needed basis. In other words, we pay him a small retainer, and then if I was going to say if the stuff hits the fan, if a situation occurs where we need him, then the contract kicks in for an additional amount. That's not even all that much, really. But it's like having an insurance policy. So that's Bill Helmick. And Connie obviously does the engineering and prepares the documentation for the appropriations requests. I kind of coordinate. I also look out for the annexation issue. Richard and Bill help me on that if needed. And then I also work with Connie on the appropriations issues. And that's a question of working with our two sponsors, Representative Woodson and Senator Pizzo.
And you work with the stuff that comes through from the League of Cities that affects us.
Yes, and I
does not necessarily look at us in our favor because we are a smaller city and they do have to focus on their bigger cities. So there are bills that have come through before, like when they were trying to do the stuff for the building department and things like that, where Dave was instrumental in fighting those issues that affect our small cities on top of leading the small annexation committee with the Florida League of Cities.
Correct. And there are actually times that when our interests and the League of Cities interests are not aligned, and so we go our own way, and we have done that on a number of things. Now, as far as the reports go, each of the lobbyists sends me a report at my request each month, and well, maybe not every month, but sometimes it's slow during the summer, so there was really not much going on to report on. But they send me their reports.
David, are you basically saying that you're working as a team?
Yes, we're working as a team. I do an overall report, and I summarize, at the end of my report, I summarize their reports, but their reports are attached to my report, and I am now sending them to your manager, and he will then distribute them to you all. And that's the way the process has been working for a number of years now. And then let's see what other issue need to be. Oh, and yes, and I have discussed with Chandler the idea of sort of refocusing my attention on the county commission, the MPO, if need be, the school board. I have relationships with every one of those agencies. Had long-term working relationships with 7 out of the 9 county commissioners. I've been to the MPO. I've met the staff. So that is perfectly fine with me. I will just say, as a matter of history, that for many years we chose, as a matter of strategy, to not have a big presence at the county commission back when the county commission was working with the legislative delegation to eliminate Pembroke Park or merge Pembroke Park into West Park. So we felt it was just better to, out of sight was out of mind. But I think while the undercurrent of that philosophy at the county commission still may exist, there are a lot of newer county commissioners that don't have that history or background. And it's probably time that we spent more time. I think he's absolutely correct. So I think that's a good move. So now, if there are any questions or any further questions, I'd be happy to answer them, address them.
Are there any further questions? Are there any further questions? If not,
yeah, I was just want. So basically, is David, what you're telling me is you're working the 5 people as a team.
Yes, that's correct, Commissioner.
Well, I never understood that at the beginning. I thought they were all individuals with separate contracts.
Well, they do have separate contracts, but we do work as a team. We meet during the legislative session. We meet regularly. it's not like a set meeting, but, well, Connie and I meet like almost every day that we're up there during the budget process things. And then I talk with Richard at least once a week, talk with Helmick at least once a week. So, yeah. And I can.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think that wasn't clear to either probably myself and maybe some of the others. It wasn't clear how that was working. We figured they're separate contracts, and we hear stuff from you, we hear stuff from Connie, but we get nothing from the other people. So we assume that they're not doing anything.
Yeah, well, that's not an.
The reports come out.
You got to read the reports.
Well, they do have reports
through.
So I forget what I was going to say. I can, I can redirect the emphasis of my efforts at the local level. I can still coordinate what they're doing by telephone conference. There will be times when it will be necessary for me still to go to Tallahassee if you decide to work with the manager to revise or have me work with the manager to revise my contract and my services. But there will be times when it will still be necessary for me to go to Tallahassee, especially in advance of your fly-ins. A lot of that work is done by sending email messages to legislative assistants, but there's no substitute for pounding the pavement, walking around to their offices to follow up with the meeting requests and so forth, and then coordinating the actual days of the event. So those are important things. And then there are certain times during the budget process where my presence would be helpful, I think, and has been in the past. So,
You for a second. Town Attorney, do you need a motion? Can we approve all of these at once, or do they need to be individual because they're individual contracts?
One motion to approve item 11.5.
I just make a motion to approve 11.5, the 4 lobbyist contracts.
There a second?
I second.
Okay. So I'm going to ask the city attorney, is it okay for me to vote, since I know that there was a discussion last year during the election regarding the fact that someone who worked on my campaign is currently the chair of the Republican Party, and one of these contracts is for the vice chair of the Republican Party through no affiliation, but because there was a question regarding it last year during the election, am I okay to vote on this?
So long as the vote will not inure to your special private gain or loss, which means an economic benefit, so long as there's no economic gain or loss under Florida law, either to you or to one of your relatives, you do not have a voting conflict.
I just wanted to make sure that that's stated on the record.
But what I've heard would not describe a voting conflict, Mayor.
I didn't think it would either, but the fact that there was an email questioning the fact that Evan Powers is my strategic operator for one of my consultants on my campaign in 2019 as well as 2023, there would be an issue with Helmich, who is the vice chair of the Republican Party, not the chair. And
Executive director.
Not affiliated with.
Voting conflicts have a very specific definition under state law, and what I'm
know.
hearing would not fall in that definition.
Yeah, I know. And the fact that I paid for services at fair market value. I just want to make sure that the record is clear.
Call the roll.
Roll call, please.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Acting Commissioner Kashem. Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem.
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morset.
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion passes.
on behalf of the team, I thank you for your confidence in us, and we are proud to serve the town of Pembroke Park.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you don't mind, I'm going to stump my way home. Starting to get
Have a
old.
good night.
Safe.
Okay. So who else do I need to get out? Other than myself.
Susie, the phone.
Susie has
This is the phone for him?
Huh?
The phone.
The phone. Oh, Dave phone?
David phone?
Dave left his phone?
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, David.
Good night.
Okay, so I think we've covered,
We have the presentation from the police department.
we have a whole lot for the police department. All right.
We also have the second reading of the FDOT ordinance.
Yeah, but that ain't nobody sneaking out. That's hourly.
We also got presentations, proclamations, all the way back at 5.
Yeah. All right, so I think everybody who's hourly, except for Kristen, which I don't see on here. Presentation 5, presentations, proclamations. Everyone has a copy of the proclamations. Those are Diaper Week, Hispanic Heritage Month, Constitution Week, Suicide Prevention Month, and Broward Mental Health Summit Day. If anybody has any questions about that, please let me know. If not, we're going to move on to 5.2. 90-day presentation, Police Chief, Interim Police Chief Dan Decoursey, and Deputy Chief Ochoa.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. I'm going to take this opportunity to update you on what we've done with the police department basically over the last 90 days plus. As you know, I came on board in April. Deputy Chief Ochoa came on board in June, and we've continued to make progress through the last 90 days in the agency. One of the things we did is obviously we moved into our new space, our new building, which is pretty much completed. We have one phase left, and that is our interview room that's currently being completed now, and it should be completed within the next week to 2 weeks, and then we'll be ready to go with that. That being said, our plan was driven by high liability issues first. So we looked at what liabilities the organization had and how we could limit those, and then we also looked at training issues that would accompany those high liability areas. One of the issues we had when we first came in, we started to realize that we're not meeting or complying with Florida state statute, as our lineup code had changed regarding how we do photo lineups for investigations that our officers and detectives would be conducted. So what we did, once we realized the lapse in that, we identified the problem, we rectified that through training and providing our officers the necessary tools to present the best case possible in our criminal justice system. We also have a new evidence room. As we all know, the third floor, we had evidence up there. We still have a couple bigger items in that area. However, the majority of our evidence is now downstairs in the first floor area. It's an up-to-date modern evidence facility that has an intake area for our officers that they can drop the evidence into the temporary storage lockers, and our evidence custodian can come in the next morning, log the evidence in, and so on. During the course of our evaluation of the organization, we were running our evidence room off of a Excel spreadsheet. Totally unacceptable for accreditation standards, totally unacceptable for FDLE standards. So we had to go ahead and to categorize exactly what we had in that room, at which time we contacted FDLE and requested a formal audit. Now, any new chief that comes into a police department, the first thing they do is they request a formal audit from FDLE of the property room so that they can ascertain exactly what is in the property room when they got there and what might be missing and so on, so that the liability again would fall on the previous administration. So we had FDLE come in and conduct an extensive audit along with our team. Randine Morgan did an excellent job with them, worked hand in hand with them, as well as Deputy Chief Ochoa, and were able to complete that audit within approximately a 2-week period. That being said, we took what they gave us. We were fortunate because one of the people on the audit team was actually an accreditation assessor. So she goes out to all the different agencies and assists, does mock accreditations as well as full accreditations of police departments, and we're able to obtain some insight on what we might find in the future with our evidence. And they did come back with a report recommending some changes. Obviously, we've transitioned into a computerized system now. We're looking at a records management system that will also tie into our evidence, so everything will be a smooth, even flow, and that item will be coming up shortly. One of the other things we looked at was staff notifications. Regarding our staff notifications, we felt like we were not getting updates between the squads. We had roll calls now. Every squad has a roll call. Oncoming shifts come in, they find out what happened on the previous shift, so they're able to address those concerns. The deputy chief and myself were also pushing out updates that we get from the community, concerns with vagrants and stuff in different areas and so on. So we're able to stay on top of this activity as well as our squads and so on. So if we have something that happens on the midnight shift, and our day shift finds it the next day and are sitting out there taking all these burglary reports that might have happened in a warehouse complex or whatever, we're able to circle back with that night with our midnight shift again and let them know, hey, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, we missed these areas here, here, and here. We need some directed patrols and so on. So it's just part of our crime program that we utilize here to help us facilitate a safe and secure environment. Officer activity log, we've taken this to a new level too. So we have the supervisors now that are reporting back all the activity of the officers for us on a daily basis, so we know exactly what's going on out there. So they're completing their shift logs and so on. And we do that, we use that by a 5x5 approach. And what that is that we expect our officers to have at least 5 citizen contacts per shift, as well as 5 footprints. And we talk about footprints, we're talking about going out into the community, checking warehouses, actually shaking doors, walking around buildings and so on to determine what is going on and look for any activity that could be occurring in those areas. Staff notifications. We're utilizing a system now to where if something happens in the middle of the night, Deputy Chief and myself are both on call 24/7. We receive calls all the time about what's going on. But more importantly, we have our officers articulate that activity so that when we come in the mornings and stuff, we want to report to our commissioners if something of that be of a special interest. We have a totality of what the incident that occurred, and we're able to ship that out, blast it out to you all in an email so you're aware of what might happen or what has happened within the town. Training and development was a big issue that we had. Once we got here, we realized that we had some issues regarding search and seizure. That being said, we've provided focused training on Fourth Amendment rights, de-escalation techniques, and also duty to intercede and stop anything that might be occurring out there. As we identify areas, we keep training throughout. So we have shift roll calls. We'll have training segments in there and stuff. We realized also that our officers were not certified with the tasers. We couldn't find any taser certifications. The requirement is that the officers have recertification at least once a year. So we actually had to pull the tasers off the officers until we could get them certified because it was a huge liability upon the town. Firearms, we have yearly training. We just did training on firearms. Well, now we have to go back and do it again. The state of Florida has changed the curriculum, which requires us to do a more in-depth training. Use of force is a big piece of that as well. So we'll be bringing that into our training plan as well. We have time on that. So as new officers come on board, we'll transition some seasoned officers in with the new officers to reduce overtime and so on with the organization. Responding to active assailant training. This is something that the Deputy Chief and I have been working on. Deputy Chief is a former SWAT member. This is his wheelhouse, so we just let him run with that one. That's his deal there. And then operational planning from community events. So just like when we had the book bag giveaway over here, we started using operational plans so that officers knew what their activity was going to be at the event, what their assignment was going to be, who was going to be where was first aid, where was the fire department, if we have a lost child, where do we take the child to report and try and find a parent, as well as the nearest hospitals, fire rescue, and so on. So that's all part of our planning. And then after the event happens, we do an after action report to determine what we did right, what we did wrong, and what we can do better. So again, it's just constantly building and facilitating it, and everybody's learning at the same time. Form development. We realized that when we got here too, we had the supervisory forms that we needed to do. We had an incident where a vehicle was damaged. We didn't have any vehicle damage reports that were done. We have to report these things. It was a pursuit. So what happened was that a vehicle got damaged in a pursuit in another car. So we had to create these forms, on-the-job injury forms. We had nothing to really facilitate that. So when we're out there in the field and people are on the midnight shift and stuff, we have to have paperwork that can be filled out so we can notify our insurance carriers within a 24-hour period and so on for any workman's comp notifications or things like that we might need to do. So we did that. We streamlined the reports too, so we could just fast paste that stuff right on through and get them to the proper parties. Requisition forms, everything goes through a requisition form with the organization, so we created a form within our department that deputy chief signs off on, I sign off on, and then it goes strictly to the town, straight to the town manager for his approval. And then the items are purchased once he's approved. Budget forecasting, we worked hand in hand with Mr. Delia and Delina, rather, I'm sorry, and helping us with that and determining our budget needs, and we're forecasting what we're going to need for the future in the organization as what are we anticipating for overtime, how do we reduce our overtime. We all know that overtime has been very high because we're so short, so we're looking for ways to reduce those in that area and bring our budget back into line. Hiring process, working hand in hand with HR, Christian and Tom, or John rather, and helping us with that. I'm involved in all the interviews myself, as well as the deputy chief. We personally want to build the best team we can build possible. I'm very adamant about this, a high speed, low drag. I mean, people got to be ready to hit the ground and want to work if you're going to come to the town of Pembroke Park. So that's our focus has been on that. This piece here is a piece that I'm going to let Deputy Chief Ochoa take over. It's a very beginning of data-driven policing is what we preached in my 60, 90-day plan, and that we'll be able to direct resources and so on. But also this is going to address some finance areas and stuff like that as far as manpower allocation and so on.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Deputy Chief Jason Ochoa, so thank you, Mayor and Commission. If you could just click on the link, please. So first, I want to thank the finance director for putting this together and his son. We could not have done this without them. So the first thing we wanted to do is budget forecasting, where we're at, where we're going to be in the future, and how do we minimize the impact of overtime with the organization. So as you can see, when we first came on, overtime was a little bit high, and we wanted to reduce that. And any management, we want to do that. So we reduced that, as you could see. How do we do that? By overtime management. We adjusted some personnel. We've reduced one position back into a police officer position. We brought the lieutenant into an administrative position, and he's helped out on the road tremendously. So as you can see, we brought down our overtime tremendously. Our FSCs, as you can see, that are actually in the green. We're at 95. Our goal is to be at 90. We work a 40-hour work week. We want to be at 90 at all times. Madam, well, as you can see, we're green. If you would go down a little bit lower on the FTE side, we're actually on the red because we had a lot of overtime. A little bit higher, right where it says, yep, right there. If you go down to the bar, to the stroll bar. No.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't touch anything. Is it here, page 2? Right here. Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
Where?
This little bar right here.
Oh.
Down on that pole.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. So you see some red right there. So that's where FTEs are a little bit high because we were paying a lot of overtime. We came in April. We started figuring out what was going on, and we were able to figure out our overtime management. So we reduced that. If you go on to, and then on this side we have our overtime on our expenses on our leave. We could manage all that. We could drill down on everything we got going on. If you go down to the crime data, please. So our crime data, so you can see the blue, and we actually got a heat map as well. So our calls for service, our response time is 3 minutes and 91 seconds. That is incredible, right? And that's a lot of calls we were handling, right? So like the chief mentioned, we actually added more calls for service. We added the footprints, the community contacts, and we're actually logging those in. So we do have a high call volume because we're being more proactive with our community. So when we go to crime, if you could please click on the pink on the wheel. Our response time for crime calls that had actually gone down in July is 4 minutes and 9 seconds. So our response time is actually better from a nationwide standpoint. So we are actually responding a lot quicker. our crime is going down in July versus when you see a July of last year, we had a spike. It's actually coming down right now. So this is raw data. We were actually able to, so we get a daily report from BSO. We were able to give this information to Jacob, and he was able to create that for us. If you click on map, please, and I don't want to see the heat. So this gives us a better information, and once we get our records management system, we can actually drill down on crime data. So let's say that gives us all the calls for service. And we look at one particular neighborhood and we say we have a lot of vehicle burglaries, and we could drill down on dates, time, and location, and we could actually say, hey guys, between these hours and these dates, we're actually getting vehicle burglaries, and we have a crime trend. We could do a lot of things. We could put a crime problem together, a community issue, it might be a lighting issue, it might be a neighborhood issue. So we could attack that from a multi-pronged approach. So this is this is the raw form of data, because this is just information we're getting from the dispatch center from BSO. Once we get a records management system, we're going to have better information, more data, so we could actually drill down. But right now, we could see a pattern where most of our calls for service for crimes are occurring. If you could click on the blue, please.
Blue. Oh.
But we are also attacking those same areas, being proactive and doing our community policing, our footprints, and our area checks in those same areas as well. So we do have see how our calls gone up as well. So we're doing a multi-pronged approach on that area. If you go back to the PowerPoint, please.
If I go to what?
Back to the PowerPoint. Next slide. No, I have it. So we also brought up our social media. Any good police department in the country, you look at it, what's the first thing that any new applicant wants to do is they're gonna go on their social media platforms and see what they're doing. And we were kind of dormant on that area. So we brought it back up. We had to figure out what the passwords were. We got that up, and lately, and helping, some of our officers have been helping that. We've brought up our social media account. And why is it good? We could put crime tips, weather alerts, crime alerts, so what's the staff notification so important for us is because in the morning we have something going on. We had a fatality on Hallandale Beach Boulevard. I was able to get out early in the morning and put the road is closed off in the morning. That's great for our community, for traffic alerts, crime alerts, and even for media. We could put our press releases right through the social media, and it avoids us even getting involved with the media and some of these things like that. So social media is up and running again. All the platforms are up and running. We just got to get more active on it, but we're on it. No.
Thank you. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. That's just in a nutshell where we're at and where we're going. We continue to build every day. We're still down quite a few positions. We have filled one detective position. We've actually did an offer today for a police officer position. We've got several other applicants that we've interviewed, some that we'll be putting into background here very soon to get them on board as soon as possible to get these positions filled. I think our number one goal here is obviously to continue to address the high liability issues first, and then personnel, and when we attack personnel, goes hand in hand with overtime and bringing that down. We're also, with our succession plan, one thing I forgot to mention is that training opportunities. We are looking at training opportunities and developing future supervisors and leaders of the organization. We're looking at line supervision classes. We're looking at one middle management class. We're trying to get one of our lieutenant in right now. And either that, possibly a leadership class that might be a little bit closer later on in the year. So as we just continue to build, we're identifying the succession plan there too. When we talk about that, we're talking about OIC's, officers in charge, so that we'll have their supervisors on the shifts that will be training the future leaders to take their spots. So if I have a sergeant that goes out for vacation or whatever, I can have the officer in charge run that shift or that squad because he's already on that squad, and it alleviates our overtime in that area as well. So we're looking at all these different areas to cut costs, bring the agency together. The support from the team has been awesome. All our officers are on board. The community members that we talked to, they're on board. And so that's just wanted to give you in a nutshell where we're going. And if you all have any questions, we're certainly here to answer them for you.
Do you guys have any questions? You're doing a great job.
Great job.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you turned this agency completely around, and we appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Stay there. We're going to go ahead and cover your items. You have the Smart Cop software. You have your build out, you have a couple things on there, so knock them out since you're standing. Okay, so 11.1, the Smart Cop RMS system.
Good evening, Mayor Mohammed, Commissioners. Mark Pakula, IT Director. Yes, we have the Smart Cop RMS system. We were working with the Fibers grant. With that, the total cost is about $180,000. The Fibers grant is going to pick up the majority of that, leaving the town to pay only about $1,000. That's for our RMS system for the police. We also need to buy a server for that system, so that you have in here as part of the package we're asking you to approve.
Okay, so you need a motion to approve
Yes.
$180,000 for Smart Cop. Utilizing the Fibers grant for $179 with the cost to the town of $1,000?
Yes, not to exceed 197.
$197. Is there a motion for that?
Yeah, motion to approve your, what's that, 11.1?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion to approve.
I second it.
Did Bill say something?
No, he's coughing.
Okay. All right, is there any further discussion? No, roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Morset, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morset,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs,
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem.
Yes.
Motion passes.
11.2, purchase hardware for the police department.
Yes, also, along with the grant, we're going to go ahead and purchase hardware that they've laid out for us, which will help the police department now, not only now, but in the future. So we're mirroring what they've told us that we can buy, which is rough books, all kinds of support equipment for the police, computers for workstations for inside the police station. This will help us tremendously offset the cost. This is also part of the grant.
Okay. You got an amount or anything for us? You got an amount?
Yes, where is it? $76,924.91. And they're picking up the whole tab.
Okay. Motion, is there a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve 11.2.
I second.
Second.
Not to exceed 80,000, correct?
Yes,
Exceed
please.
80,000, not to
Yes.
exceed 80,000.
Not to exceed the 80,000.
80,000.
Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Morset, seconded by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins. Vice Mayor Morset,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs,
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. 11.3, change order for the build out. That's for the wiring not to exceed 8905. So
Yes,
nine-
as per our procurement, this is a change order based on the 135 originally approved. So I just want to bring it up. This will be the final closeout for the construction on the police department. These are just things that we found that needed to be addressed when we got in there.
Not to exceed 9,000.
Yes, that'd be fine.
Nine.
Yes.
It's 8905, so 9,000.
Motion to approve, three, not to exceed 9,000.
There a second?
I second it.
Roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Morset, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Mayor Mohammed,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs,
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Motion passes. Oh, sorry, Vice Mayor Morset.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And Mayor, I'd just like to bring up, for the second year in a row, we were awarded the grant for the cybersecurity for the town. So I haven't gotten the full dollar amount, but between last year and this year is probably about $240,000 that we were able to get.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks.
11.4, police accreditation. So this is the agreement for Jeffrey Owens.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mayor. This is in reference to an accreditation process, previous accreditation agreement that was in place. We had reached out to that person and company, several emails once I first got here. Actually, I gave up because I wasn't getting any response, phone messages and everything else. I had to find another outlet that could help us get us back on track in accreditation. Unfortunately, our policies, I know there was a promise that August was a date that we were ready for an on-site, and we were never ready for an on-site. As we continue to go through policies and address things, we find areas that are lacking. So we were able to locate a person who could assist us with this, and basically for $833 a month will oversee our accreditation. He's currently working with the City of Hollywood Police Department on theirs and various agencies throughout the state of Florida. I spoke to numerous people about this person, and he gave it to us at a great price. Overall price is $10,000 a year. It's a it's a 2-year contract, and then we can renegotiate from there. The gentleman will get us ready for accreditation, and we'll work hand in hand, and we'll get where we need to be. I don't know exact timeline on that. He hasn't had a chance to fully evaluate what we have yet, evaluated. Until we can do that, we'll get a better a look at what's going on. But we've been writing emergency policies to address different issues that come up. Literally daily, we're pumping policies out now for the agency to get us over the hump until we can get this person on board to help us with the accreditation process.
Okay, so you need a motion to approve the professional service agreement for Jeffrey Owens for an amount not to exceed $840 a month? Is there a
Motion
motion?
to approve 11.4 police accreditation agreement.
I second.
Okay, roll call.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Vice Mayor Morset. Commissioner Jacobs?
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Mayor Morset?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think you're done, right? All right, perfect. All right, Mark, you had the cyber standards 8.1.
May I, Mayor, just for the record, item 8.1, the title reads for Resolution 2024-008, a resolution of the Town Commission, the Town of Pembroke Park, Florida, to adopt standards to safeguard against cybersecurity threats, adopting the methods and standards set forth in version 1.1 of the Framework for Cybersecurity adopted by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, providing for conflicts, severability, and providing for an effective date.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. This is just a framework that we need to be adopting as of January 1st. There are some regulations that we as a town need to adhere to from an IT perspective. So this is just something we're putting in place that we're going to be following. Any questions?
No. Are there any questions?
No.
Yeah, well, you'll have your hands full with that.
Yes, sir.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, motion to approve 2024-008.
I second it.
Okay, roll call.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Morset, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem?
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morset?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Eric, do you have enough stretch outs?
Yeah,
2 seconds.
we're finished with that, so we have the commercial amnesty program.
Hold on, you're missing 6, 7.
No.
Yeah, 6, 7, 8.4, 8.49.
The good and welfare?
We didn't do that.
We got that one done.
And then all of these 11s. So, you want me to just write it out for you?
No, so we have 6.
6, 7.
7. Those are quick.
8.4, 9.1,
Yeah, I got that.
and then the 11s. 11.6 now.
All right.
Okay?
That's not that much.
No.
You can't hold that.
No.
All right. Get better.
Need yours.
Absolutely. It's a,
Okay, thanks. Okay.
do you want a 5-minute break?
No, just finish it.
Just finish?
Yeah.
Okay. 6, public comments related to the agenda and the items. Nothing from the public? All right, we'll close that one. Consent of the agenda, number 7, approval of the minutes. Town clerk?
Mr. Vice Mayor, you need a motion, Mr.
I just need a motion for it.
Motion to approve the minutes. It's item number 7.
Are you going to second?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
He just made a motion.
I second it.
Commissioner Jacobs, you made the motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morset,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed has left. Commissioner Jacobs,
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, I believe we're at 8.4 now, commercial amnesty program.
May I, Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Item 8.4 for the record is Resolution 2024-014, a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Pembroke Park, Florida, providing for the amnesty program guidelines for commercial property owners who performed work without permits to facilitate bringing property into compliance through January 31st, 2026. Providing for conflicts, severability, and providing for an effective date. And very briefly, if I may, Vice Mayor and Commission, you may recall back in May, the commission had adopted the extension of its residential amnesty program. This was a program that was adopted by the commission, I believe, in 2020. It predated me, but there were some fairly comprehensive guidelines that were included within that amnesty opportunity for certain residential respondents who had code issues they were working through. Back in May, the commission had directed my office to bring back a resolution expanding the amnesty program to include commercial properties. All this does is it takes your prior amnesty program, which has since been extended through January 31st of 2026, and it will add the commercial properties to that program. You currently have the program in place for residential. This will just expand the program for commercial.
Any questions?
Yep. How will this commercial amnesty program encourage compliance from property owners who have previously performed unpermitted work?
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, that's really more of a policy question. I'm not sure I can answer from a legal perspective. I know we don't have anybody from the code office here. I mean, I understand the question.
Mayor put it together, so this is more directed towards her, but she just walked out of the commission meeting. So another question would be, what measures are in place to ensure the program does not result in any safety or building code violations? I said, what are you going to do about the code enforcement re-violating business owners who have already come into compliance? This seems to be a problem in the town. If you're unaware, you should probably attend one of our code enforcement e-meetings or watch them online. You have business owners that are complaining because they're being re-violated on issues that they have already previously brought into compliance, but our code enforcement is re-violating on them. Another issue is, where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from to cover these costs?
Oh, we have to ask the mayor.
Well, she left. She got up and walked out of the meeting.
All right. Do you
At a critical time just before her item.
want to move this to the next meeting?
Not at all. I want to let it die. We shouldn't be putting in an amnesty program for the commercial properties here in the town to begin with. It never should have come to fruition. So I'd like to see this item die, but it's up to you guys. If you want to make a motion and put it in place, we can vote on it. If not, it dies.
Vice Mayor, the item is properly before the commission for consideration this evening. The commission can move to approve the item as presented. The commission can move to defer the item to a future commission workshop, or the commission can move to approve the item, and to the extent that it fails, the item would then, have died based on that action. I mean, not required. There's no legal requirement that the commission put a program such as this in place. This is purely a policy opportunity for the town. And again, the decision as it relates to moving forward from a policy perspective is really within your hands.
And here's another question. How will the town track and ensure that all properties utilizing this program are fully brought into compliance by the 2026 deadline? We have none of those in place for the amnesty program as it is for the residential. So there's no reason to bring the commercial to it when there's nothing to even monitor the program.
Well, can I have a motion to move it to the next
Workshop.
meeting?
No, that would be your next workshop, presumably,
Next
Mr.
workshop.
Vice Mayor?
I'll make a motion to reject this ordinance.
I second it.
Roll call.
Motion to reject this item was made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem.
Not to
I'm sorry,
reject.
wait.
No,
Going to
said
moving
reject.
forward.
no,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Kashem, yeah, the Commissioner Jacobs' motion was to essentially reject the item.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I want to say in the future discussion what she want to say. We want to hear for her also.
Well, if she stayed at the meeting, then we could have
She's not
discussed.
feeling good, maybe.
Is there a second motion? Bill? No, there's not.
So you may want to entertain a motion to defer the item to your next workshop, at which time a more robust presentation can be offered.
See that, so we can get a motion for deferring to the next workshop.
I second.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay.
I need a first.
You,
Oh, you don't have a first?
okay.
I thought I heard Commissioner Morris make a first.
I can't.
No, he's running the meeting.
All right, well, I'll make a motion to move it to the next workshop.
I second it.
Roll call.
Okay, give me 1 second. Motion was made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Vice Mayor Morset,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs,
No.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, 9.1, the Florida Department of Transportation, Mr. Horwitz.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. And for the record, Commission, this is ordinance number 2024-006, an ordinance of the Town of Pembroke Park, Florida, amending Chapter 28 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Zoning, amending Article 5 entitled Nonconforming Uses to create Section 28-357 entitled Nonconforming Uses Created by Commercial Acquisitions of Private Property, providing for definitions, providing for adoption of policy and procedure concerning nonconformities created by governmental acquisition of private property, inclusive of a variance mechanism to cure nonconformities, providing the town manager's designee to take necessary steps to enforce applicable building and safety codes on properties that are subject to a pending governmental acquisition, providing for conflicts, severability, providing for codification, and an effective date. Mr. Vice Mayor, if I may, and Commission, you may recall that the Florida Department of Transportation has come before the Commission several times over the course of the past 8 or 9 months, round numbers. This is an ordinance that FDOT has recommended. The item was heard and approved on first reading back in May, I believe it was. This is somewhat of a procedural item that would address takings and eminent domain proceedings by the Department of Transportation. And to the extent that that process resulted in a legal nonconforming use, it would address the operation of future nonconforming uses based specifically on eminent domain. This was recommended by FDOT. I know they've come here and made some presentations to the Commission on this in the past. The item's before the Commission on second reading, and I just remind the Vice Mayor that this is a public hearing on second reading. So after a motion is made, I would just ask you to open it up for public comment.
Okay, is there any public comments? Nope, we're closing public comments. Can I have a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I second it.
You understand what eminent domain is?
Mm-hmm. Yes, roll call.
Motion made by Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Commissioner Jacobs,
Absolutely not.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morset.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, 10.1. No, we've done that.
We did 10.1
On that, so,
and 11.6, Mr. Vice Mayor.
yeah, we got 11.1 done. 11.6, the ILA yard waste and hazardous material disposal, that would be,
Yes, Vice Mayor Commission, this is your agreement with the Broward County with your annual household waste and bulk trash programs that you have in the town. It's a standard programs that you've been operating for many years here, and it's just time for renewal.
Motion to approve 11.6.
I second it.
Roll call.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morset,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion passes.
11.7, all liquid environment contracts. Town Manager Williamson, please.
Yes, again, this is a contract that we're renewing. This vendor helps to clean out your pipes for grease, wastewater, drainage, et cetera. So we're just renewing that contract.
Motion to approve 11.7.
Second it.
Roll call.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morset,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs,
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem.
Yes.
Motion passes.
11.8, Third Amendment disaster debris removal. Town Manager Williamson.
Yes, this is to extend debris removal contract until November 1st. Your debris removal contracts, if I'm correct, was for 4 years. It expires on September 30th, and we were recently made aware of that. So what we're doing is we're preparing an RFP to go out. In the interim, the town attorney took the purpose of extending the current vendors until November 1st, and that takes us through hurricane season for the next 45 days. In that time frame, we should be able to get the RFP out. I think it's already out. The RFP now is being advertised, and so we'll have new vendors selected hopefully before November 1st, but this takes us through November 1st for coverage.
Motion to approve 11.8.
Second it.
Roll call, please.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Vice Mayor Morset,
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs,
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins.
Yes.
Motion passes.
11.9, the ILA Southwest 25th Avenue project.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor, if I may, just for the record. And this actually is a surtax item with Broward County that the manager can speak to the substance of, but the item is a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Pembroke Park, Florida, approving and authorizing the execution of the interlocal agreement with Broward County for surtax-funded municipal transportation project. That's the construction of stormwater improvements, Phase 2. It's referenced as PRK. It's Pembroke Park 002, providing for conflicts, severability, and providing for an effective date. And I would just ask if the clerk could assign a resolution number to this item once we complete the meeting.
It's resolution number 2024-021.
Thank you.
Okay. Mayor Commission, this
11.
Mayor Commission, this is just, Broward County for agreeing to give us surtax money for this project on their behalf. And we'll be covering another $1.3 million for this project, but this expedite this project for us in the very near future.
Motion to approve 11.9.
Second it.
Roll call, please.
Motion made by Commissioner Jacobs, seconded by Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem. Commissioner Jacobs,
Yes.
Acting Clerk Commissioner Kashem,
Yes.
Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morset.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Well, we have a discussion on 12.3, but Mayor Mohammed's not here, so I think we should move that to the next workshop. Anybody good with that?
Okay.
12.4, in the spring, we hired a headhunter, a company to find us candidates for the town manager position. It's still not been fulfilled. I would like us to have a vote on this because we had 3 candidates from Renee Narlock, and we have an interim town manager right now. So I would like us to write whatever candidate we think is the right candidate on a piece of paper and give it to the clerk commissioner, the clerk, and then Mr. Hodgkins can obviously write it down so he can tell the clerk who he votes for. Is that a Do we have a motion to do that?
And that fall under secret ballot, which you're not allowed.
Well, yeah, and I was just going to offer, thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. I don't have a problem with a ballot process. I would just ask that you write your name on the ballot. Under Florida law, there are no secret ballots in the context of employee selection and voting from the dais. So to the extent that the commission wanted to use a ballot process, that's certainly within your prerogative. You can do that. I would just ask that those ballots identify who is selecting which candidate, and those ballots do become part of the public record.
Okay, so you write a name on it?
Just
and
right,
you
yeah,
write
you're a preferred candidate, name of each commissioner on the ballot. If that's the process you'd like to use.
You have a pad next to
Yeah, I have a
everybody, so you can use that sheet of paper. Just make sure you put your name on it.
All right.
If
Have no
it's okay,
items.
can I have Commissioner Hodgkins just text it to me?
That'd be fine, but again, the text is part of the public record.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
There's no backup with this. So you're putting the 3 candidates that Renee Nordock brought forward?
Yeah, and or the interim, whatever you choose. You have, I believe, interviewed them.
Mayor Commissioner, does my name is included in that batch as well?
Yes.
Are you good with that? I mean, we decided to do this in the spring, start the process. We paid for it. We had 3 qualified candidates, and we just left it hanging.
So here's the issue. We had a workshop on the 28th that none of you showed up to.
Well, there were medical reasons for that.
Okay, the whole commission had medical reasons except for myself. So we had 4 commissioners who didn't show up to a workshop. Then we have an agenda item here that has absolutely zero backup with it. It's got a little page that says town manager. It says nothing else to go with it. There's
Well, we did that discussion when we started the process in spring.
yes, but we didn't have a workshop to discuss what the plan was. So this is kind of being sprung onto the commission right now.
Correct. I can't force you to vote.
We can move forward for next. For backup.
So nobody wants to vote. Okay, we'll move it to the next meeting,
No, that's
workshop.
That's not what I'm saying, but that's whatever.
It's up to you. You want to vote? I want to vote. Mr. Hodgkins, do you want to vote?
Yes.
Did you guys even interview the candidates?
Yes.
All 3 of them?
Yes.
Hodgkins, did you interview all 3 candidates?
I did, sir.
Last time I recalled when I talked to the candidates there, that no one from the town had talked to them.
That's not correct.
If I may, and again, I'll say this with a caveat that my office and myself really have not been involved in this process at all. I don't know to what extent any member of the commission has spoken with any of the candidates or the applicants. I will just offer that this process was started, again, initially back in January, and it's, matured over the past some number of months. I don't know the status of any of these candidates. I mean, I know that I don't know to what extent there's been recent communication to the extent.
Have dropped out. So we have 2 candidates from Renee Narlock, and we have Mr. Williamson as a candidate too.
And I would just offer that to the extent that the commission wanted to take some action this evening, it would really be a 2-step process, because the first thing you would need to do is make an offer. And assuming that an applicant was willing to accept the commission's offer, we would then need to negotiate and bring back a contract for approval by the commission. Again, we don't need to recreate the wheel here. The town has had management contracts in the past, and we would use some of the prior manager's contract as a predicate for that. But the action tonight would really be to make an offer to one of these applicants, one of these candidates, and then that would be approval subject to the subsequent approval of an employment contract that we would bring back at a later date.
All right.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion to put the contract out there. I mean, for approval to the candidates.
What?
No, sir. I believe what they're stating is that for each of you to make the vote first, and then afterwards you would be making the offer to that candidate, correct?
Well, if the commission were to
All right.
if the commission were to vote tonight and select one of the applicants as a potential town manager, that would come in the form of an offer. And either your town HR consultant, or my office are happy to coordinate, but we would reach out to the selected candidate from the commission, present the offer of the town of the commission. Again, we don't know if those candidates are, maybe the commission does. I don't know if those candidates are still available, willing to serve. To the extent that they were to accept an offer, we would then bring back an employment agreement for the town to consider at a later date.
Yeah, I think we should follow that process.
All right, a little discussion here. So there was only one candidate of the three that I liked. We'll just lay that on the table. The other thing was, I thought back at our last, I don't know, was it meeting or workshop before summer started, that our HR department was going to be involved somehow with this process. Don't know how that left. Don't know how.
Well,
the town is in such a dire position. I've said it several times. We really need two people running this place. Two people. Trying to find the right management in this town to get this place, this ship, righted from it sinking back down to the bottom again. And here we are. So we have, on one side, we have the interim, which is Chandler, who's a phenomenal guy who's been doing great at cleaning up this town to this point. We did hire him as the assistant town manager while we were looking for a full-time manager. So,
we started this project in January.
We actually started it August of last year.
And then we need to follow up on what we agreed to do in January.
So we're
And
over
we
a
have
year in
spent-
this process.
And we spent more than $50,000 on finding these free candidates. We need to act upon it, get the ball rolling.
It's
And
inflated
if we
because
cannot agree to a candidate, then we'll have to start that discussion one more time, or the search one more time. But we have agreed to do that in January, and I think we should follow up.
So let's do vote today, so it will be finished tonight. You guys wanna do that?
I would like to put a name down and my name, and then,
Okay.
and then go from there. It's an offer, it's not a, if the commission later rejects the contract, we can do so. Is that correct?
That is correct. It would require ultimately the approval of an employment contract.
Okay.
And availability of
the
whoever we list.
Again, I don't know whether the applicants that Ms. Narlock selected are currently employed, if they're currently available. I haven't had any communication with them, with one exception. One of the candidates did reach out to me just to inquire as to the status, so I will just disclose that for the record. Again, I assume Mr. Williamson is interested in the position. He's still here and expressed that to the commission.
There was two candidates that, when I spoke to them last, were available, and the third had dropped out.
Okay.
And that's before I went on vacation. So if that,
Who was the third that dropped out?
he was, God, what's his name? I don't have it on me, but he was a local town manager here in South Florida. There's two that are local, and one from out of state.
Do you want me to go pick the papers?
No, we're also a
If Mr. Jacobs don't want to
two.
participate.
No, it's not that. It's that this is okay. What are the names of the candidates?
I'm just putting one on. Then you can put whoever you want. You can also choose Mr. Mr. Williamson.
Bozo the Clown might be a good example right now. This is insanity.
Well, it shouldn't have been left so long.
It's over a year. It's over a year we started this process.
And again, I'll just ask you to put your name on the ballot.
I did.
Thank you.
Is this subject to later approval of the, whatever we
I'm
can negotiate?
trying to play.
We need to get the ball rolling. I might have the phone down here. Let me
Hector Gomez, Stanley Hawthorne, and David Lynch, and Chandler Williamson. Those are the 4 names.
Yeah, it's no secret I have interviewed David Lynch twice.
Let me see what I add.
There we go. You want to have a look at that?
No, I got it right here.
Do you want to have a look at this one? You got it, candidate? Okay. And Mr. Hodgkins.
I'm waiting for us.
He already submitted his.
So
Okay.
can I announce?
Jacob's.
Oh, okay. Question. What happen if each candidate get 2 votes?
Yeah, so,
3 candidates, then it's a no-go.
yeah, I mean, again, the commission's obviously not compelled to make a decision this evening. I mean, you're in the middle of a process. If there's no applicant or candidate that comes out with a majority of the commission this evening, the item can be put on your next workshop or regular meeting agenda. Well, hopefully you'll have a 5-member commission, and you'll have the opportunity to reconsider the item.
Yeah, and human resource may come up with some candidates. We don't agree on somebody now.
So you're stating you want to continue the research process?
If we don't get a vote tonight, yes.
So you have your 3 choices, plus you have our existing acting town manager.
But we need to move on it. We can't just let it hang in suspension. Yeah, I believe there was Stanley Hawthorne that dropped out.
I don't like the way this is being done. I'm very uncomfortable about this.
let's move on and see what we can do, and we can't kick the ball down the
It's been kicked
can
for
down the
over a
street.
year.
Yeah,
But it's making me wonder, is this why the mayor left?
no,
She just didn't want to vote.
This morning, she told me that she had a migraine, so I was not sure she was going to come at all.
Excuses, but we have 2 commission meetings a month at a $52,000 a year salary.
I agree.
You know, I got chastised because I was throwing up in the parking lot and didn't want to come in here because I was sick, to get you guys sick. And I went home. This is like the 3rd or 4th meeting she's walked out of before we vote on important items. I'm starting to see a consistent problem here. And
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Commissioner Jacob.
This is getting ridiculous. We have important items. No one shows up to the workshop, so we can't discuss them before we get here. Then I get blindsided here at the last minute with very important critical issues for the town. This is not how a city's run. Under my leadership as mayor for 2 years, we never had anything like this happen. Hodgkins, you were here for most of it. We never walked up and got out of meetings. We only had meetings that lasted an hour, not till 10 o'clock at night, midnight, 6-7 hours. I think this is getting ridiculous.
I hear you.
Yeah, this is the results of delays and delays and delays of meetings and people walking out of meetings and stuff like that. Yeah.
But there's no reason to get up and walk out of the meeting. She was perfectly fine sitting here.
I don't
And
know.
Can I read?
We cannot.
Can I
say-
read out the names?
Wait, before we go forward. And then we had a budget hearing. There's 2 important meetings every single year that are planned out for next year. We know next year at this time in September, we're going to have 2 budget hearings.
I agree.
Without having a commission here to vote for the budget meeting, that's the most critical part of the town. We can lose funding. But she wasn't even here for that and then shows up at the end of the budget meeting because she didn't want to be part of the budget hearing. Is that it? And then now she doesn't want to be part of the critical items of this, and then she's removing her items off. Something to me is very suspect about all of this. I'm really questioning a lot.
Right, but we heard you, we hear you, agree with you. Can we move on?
Fine.
The candidate that received 3 votes was David Lynch, and 1 vote was for Mr. Williamson.
All right. Did you get that?
I did.
Thank you.
So
The next thing is we're going to reach out and offer.
We will make an offer. I would, and again, I would also ask our HR company to, sort of weigh in on the process a little bit.
Yes.
But we would need to reach out and speak with Mr. Lynch again, see if he is available, interested. Now, as I said, I have had a conversation with him. He did reach out to me within the past 2 weeks or so. So I have some sense that he is still open to the position. But we would have to, through your HR company, have a conversation and presumably bring back a contract for the commission to consider.
All right.
I'm going to go forward saying this. I like the guy. I think he brings a lot to the town. I also believe Chandler is a phenomenal manager.
Totally
and is
agree.
bringing a lot to the town as well.
Well, I hope he stays on board.
I think the 2 of you together are an absolute dream team for this town to get this place back where it needs to be, because this commission surely is not doing it. The last 2 years, year and a half, almost, whatever we're at, I've lost track. It's been such a headache for the last year and a half. Since this commission's been up here, we've made 0 progress. Projects have been stopped. Things have not happened. So, all right, let's continue forward.
12.5, that will be Clerk Commissioner Hodgkins' compensation to Alim Ghani.
Yeah, the reason I put that back on there was just the fact that I know that after, if you remember the Joy Brown issue, I was about giving her a big bonus. I had put in front of all the commissioners the state's findings on that it's illegal to do that. I had put everything out there from the government saying it's illegal to do that, but it went ahead and got done anyway. And now we went ahead and have other monies being spent without authorization. We really need to tamp down on that, put more control on it, and just do a better job. But we're going to have the OIG on us for decades.
So what do you suggest we do? We start the process of finding out what's the legal compensation?
Well,
No, there. It's already written in stone. The county and the state, they all got rules and regulations against bonuses like that, and it's already a matter of fact. And the fact that we violated it, how do we get that $30,000 back? How do we get this back? How do we get that kind of money back? You're not going to get it back, and you took taxpayers' money and did something bad with it.
Well, first off, she was not given a bonus. Second of all, this item is not about a former staffer here in the town, Joy Brown. This item says compensation for Liam Ganny. This is two different conversations you're having.
I understand what that was for, but it's almost similar to the Joy Brown issue because she was being compensated for past work that was done, and that is basically illegal from what I saw and read and put in front of everybody back at that meeting way back then.
Yeah, if I may, Mr. Vice Mayor. Well, I could just offer this. I can't speak to what happened with Ms. Brown. I wasn't involved at the town at the time. I really don't know what occurred at the time. I can tell you that there is a provision under Florida law that prohibits compensating a public employee after the fact for work that was previously performed. There also is a provision in state statutes, the same section, that prohibits bonuses unless that bonus is part of a codified policy or bonus scheme that all employees are made aware of the eligibility requirements for the bonus prior to the award. I'm not aware that Pembroke Park has a bonus policy or a bonus program in place.
I have no idea.
So absent that,
They didn't at the time, sir, and it was just done willy-nilly and went through, and it shouldn't have.
yeah, and again, I can't speak to what happened in the past. I can only offer currently from a legal perspective, I would not be able to support additional compensation for any public employee for work that had been previously performed.
The one job he was hired for, he did 3 jobs.
There
should be some sort of compensation.
And our personnel manual contemplates, acting positions and contemplates those things. If he was not compensated pursuant to the personnel manual, that would be one thing, and he certainly would be entitled to that compensation. I'm talking about additional compensation not contemplated by the personnel manual for work that was previously performed would run afoul of a provision in Chapter 218.
So we paid him as the town engineer. That's why he was making the extra allotment over what he was already making as the public works director, public services director, whatever the title was. But we were paying him. We were paying
5.something%, right?
We were paying him
Mr.
extra to
Jacob?
be the town engineer. Chandler?
Yeah.
How much engineering did we spend to go out while he was the town engineer?
I mean, when you have 2 engineering firms with contracts for our lift stations design, and you have Keefe and Associates, Craig A. Smith and Associates. So we have multiple engineers for multiple projects, and so that expenditure is pretty high for the town. I don't have an exact number of how much money we paid out, over the last year since Aline was in that position.
It was a great deal.
It was a lot of money. I mean,
How much engineering did he do while he was here?
He did quite a lot, but the thing was that
Mr. Williams?
You do need an engineer actually to specify what you need an outside engineering company to do.
my last 3 months, a lot of the questions for engineering were referred to our consultants versus what was, coming from our internal engineer. Is it very needful to have an engineer on staff? Certainly, but a lot of our questions and a lot of our services came from our external engineers. But it is, prevalent to have an on-staff engineer, and that's what we had.
Can I have you point out one situation that I was aware of where he was asked to, as the town engineer, to pick the company to go forward with for air conditioning project?
So this predates me, but there was a bid put out for AC repair for the town hall. And you got 4 bids. And within those 4 bids, you had 2 systems to select from. That those 4 proposals came in. It was a water tower system and some other different AC systems. So they bid on 2 tracks, all 4 proposals. And typically, how an RP process works in procurement, you put the RP out, you get a response. There's a selection committee that scores those responses, and that's what we have in our. That's what I've revised into our procurement policy now. And from those scores, we select, the most sufficient, vendor for that project. And typically in local government, we try to select the most reasonable vendor, fiscally, for the project. With this particular project, we actually, when the proposal went out, we got the proposals, we actually then hired another engineer to tell us what proposal to select for $5,000. And I questioned that. Why didn't we have a selection committee, sit and score these vendors appropriately versus getting an engineer from the outside to tell us what proposal to pick? It raised a red flag with me because all of the proposals were similar. However, the one that the external engineer selected, he picked the highest proposal. And when that was selected by the outside engineer, the 2 tiers of the proposals didn't change. It was 1.7 for the water tier system, and it was 1.7 for the other style of AC. That was a red flag to me, because the prices should have changed because they're 2 different systems. So I questioned that, and I questioned why we had to have an outside engineer tell us what vendor to select. I wasn't here when that occurred, but that's why we canceled the bid, and we were starting back over. And this time when we bid, we'll do it per our procurement policies and guidelines, because it wasn't done correctly, because a sitting selection committee was not within this process. So, now, it could have been a reason why they wanted to reach out to an external engineer at the time. Maybe the expertise in-house was not available to make that decision.
AC is a specialty, so
Right.
if our own engineer didn't have that expertise, I think it's correct to reach out.
Right. My biggest concern was the proposal was the highest bidder, and his 2 bids for the 2 separate systems were identical, and that's impossible.
In your opinion, was that fiscally responsible?
No, it's not from where I come from in government. It's not. It would not pass the smell test that you get 2 separate bids from the same proposal for 2 separate systems, and the cost is exactly the same.
All right, well, I think you did the right thing. All right, let's move on to attorney's report.
So, just 2 items, if I could, Mr. Vice Mayor and Commission. I was asked by Commissioner Jacobs if I would just give a brief overview on some of the pending litigation in the town. I'm going to list through a couple of different matters. These are some pending matters as well as some recently settled matters, which I've advised the commission by email. For the record, with one exception, my office is not handling any of these matters. These are all covered by the town's insurance defense coverage. They're all being handled by our insurance defense carrier, Johnson & Selmo, primarily Chris Stearns, who you've had the opportunity to meet in the past. First lawsuit that we know is pending involves the former HR director, Ms. Babette Friedman. She recently filed a second amended complaint in that matter in federal court. That was at the end of June. There is some discovery currently pending in that lawsuit. Similarly, we have a lawsuit that's been filed by the former town attorney, Melissa Anderson. That's currently pending in circuit court in the 17th Judicial Circuit here in Broward County. Discovery is also pending in that matter. A third matter that they're handling involves a woman named Josephine Otero. This is a slip and fall case involving an injury that occurred at one of our parks, I believe, related to a storm grate. Again, this is covered by our policy. There was a complaint that was filed back on May 19th in that case, and that's handled by our coverage. We do have a couple settlements to bring to your attention. I did advise the commission that the Florida League of Cities, FMIT, their insurance defense carrier, settled a claim that was filed by a former employee named Mr. McKine. I forget his first name. Last name is McKine. There was a settlement in that matter. We do have a $1 coverage with the insurance carrier, so none of these settlements have cost any out-of-pocket expense to the town. These were handled primarily and entirely by our insurance carrier and outside counsel. In that case, there was a $5,000 settlement payment that was made in exchange for a general release of all claims. Similarly, there was a settlement in the case involving your code inspector, Ms. Ramirez. This was both a federal lawsuit as well as an EEOC complaint. Also, they were settled through the FMIT and the Insurance Defense Council. There was a limited payment in exchange for a general release of all of those claims. Earlier this year, Mr. Vice Mayor, Commission, you may recall that my office was directed to initiate a code lien foreclosure lawsuit against a gentleman named Gerald Anderson and A&B Recycling. We have finalized the complaint in that matter. We are in the process of putting the finishing touches on it. I've briefed each of you individually with regards to that case, that lawsuit, and some of the expectations that we do have. I'm happy to discuss a little further with you before we file as needed, but that matter is getting ready to go to trial. Getting ready to be filed. But those are the pending cases. We do have a couple pre-suit letters, demand letters under Chapter 76828 that we've received, but no other lawsuits have been filed thus far. The only other item I wanted to bring to your attention relates to something that Mr. Williamson said during the budget hearing under the manager's report. We're in the process of commencing the collective bargaining process with our union, our police union. Yeah. We have Lorena Bravo, who's our special labor counsel, who's our collective bargaining counsel, assisting with those efforts. This is one of the few opportunities where the commission gets to meet in a closed-door session. The bargaining process under Chapter 447 under state law is driven by the manager. It really is the manager's bargaining process, and at some future moment, he will bring to you a recommended collective bargaining agreement for your review and consideration. Throughout the bargaining process, the manager may seek your input, your guidance, your direction. Those meetings can take place in a closed setting. So that'll be one of the few opportunities that we can meet outside of the sunshine in a closed-door situation where our counsel and the manager and HR staff and finance director and whoever's part of the manager's bargaining team can seek the commission's input as it relates to expectations for the bargaining process. Again, we're just getting that process underway with the union, and we will follow up further as that moves forward. But those are the items I have this evening, Vice Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the attorney?
No.
If I could state something real quick.
Yeah, please.
I know that you went ahead and you voted for your choice as the manager, but the town attorney also mentioned about determining an amount.
Yes, we need to reach out and make an offer.
What we would do, we would look at the pay scale. We would work with your HR director, and we would, again, with the, at the risk of tipping the town's hand, so to speak, we would take the pay scale for the manager position, try to work with the manager and bring back a recommendation for the commission, if that's okay. If the commission wanted to give us some parameters, we're happy to take that as well, whatever your prerogative is.
Thank you.
I just asked because I know that you had mentioned something about finances. So the other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is that when I first started here, Commissioner Jacobs was instrumental in getting the department in order and making sure that I had the proper tools to be able to have a strong department, bring it into compliance, and make sure that we were no longer having issues with the OIG. And we had a records room that was completely filled with documents that were so old that we didn't even know what they were. And the room was full of dust. It was just really disgusting. In the new budget that you guys have just tentatively approved, you have reduced my budget by 22%. There is no other department that has been reduced by that amount. And in doing that, you're removing a vital position to this department That position is the person that takes care of records management practice. And what I wanted to bring to your attention is the importance of this position and what it represents. And this is straight from the state of Florida electronic records and records management practice. The reason I'm bringing this forward was because the suggestion was to go ahead and have a company come in and scan everything. But unfortunately, that is not a long-term solution. As a matter of fact, it's a short-term solution that will cost the town even more. And this is why I'm making that
Hold
statement.
on. Wait, this
Is that
is not related to the attorney's reports here and the legal issues that are up. This is a
And
whole
that would
nother
be
matter.
correct, and that would be correct, but this is the section where normally I would always put my name to be able to have this discussion with you.
But you
I
were
could
not
have had it at that time.
Or the town clerk, and there's
I
no-
understand, but the vice mayor said that I could speak. So I have the floor at the present time.
So let me ask you the question. We need a person to maintain our file system, but also indexing it. Is that correct?
The issue is that when a company comes in, they will go ahead and mass make scan. But when it's returned back to you, each department then would have to take that and then divide it out, index it. So now you're not only paying for a company to come in and scan it, then you're paying for the employee in-house time and energy to go ahead and index each of those items. So add up the employee in-house of each department that's going to be doing that and multiply that by and then add on what the cost is to have a company come in. And then on top of all of that, it's a one-time thing where, according to state of Florida, this is the Florida Department of State Division of Library and Information Services. It clearly states the following. Chapter 119, Florida statute defines custodial of public records as the elected or appointed state, county, or municipal officer charged with the responsibility of maintaining the office, having public records, or his or her designee. Responsibility for properly maintaining public records, including electronic records, begin with the head of the agency. Elected appointed officials may designate others with this responsibility, but if records are not available when they should be, it is the agency's head who ultimately have to answer for it. That would be this commission. It is therefore in the agency's best interest to support the proper management of its public records. Also, Chapter 257, Florida statute requires agencies to establish and maintain an active and continuing program for the economical and efficient management of records. Agencies are further required to appoint a records management liaison officer to submit to the Division of Library and Information Services an annual record management compliance statement and a document disposition of their public records. The reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is because you need to be aware what removing one position represents to the town clerk's office. That not only is that position removed, originally it was a 41% reduction in my budget, leaving me with no employees. And I am happy to, I'm here to put it on the record that the workload that I currently have, the number of public records requests, which I've already given to all of you, which is 209 to date. Okay, that does not include the OIG. That does not include any of the settlements and any of the lawsuits that we have. And it also doesn't include commission requests. So I understand you've approved something tentatively, and I'm respectfully requesting if you could please look at that budget and make sure that my department budget is fully funded, rather than going ahead and now creating a liability for this town, because I will not be able to maintain that department. I will not be able to do all this work. So my department is being set up to fail. You have crippled my department by removing a budget that was there from day one. Prior to my coming to this town, there was always 2 positions. After I got here, Commissioner Jacobs went ahead and determined that other positions were needed, and they were, and they are. And the only way to continue to stay in compliance is to fund that department. I understand that there's other things more important, but I don't think there's anything more important than for our town to be in compliance with the OIG and with the Florida state.
I agree with that with 100%, and I was appalled to find that my department was cut without me even being notified, not even a word about it, and just changed, cut the budget in half or whatever, just willy-nilly like that, and it's just, that's unspeakable. And you just don't do it. And you not only hurt the town and the process, you just, it's behind the back crap. And we can't have that type of stuff.
It is this commission's decision, whatever they want to do, sir, and I respect that, but I needed to explain this to the commission because if I'm brought up on any kind of insubordination and that I'm not able to do my job, they would be correct. And that is because I don't have the tools. I've been taking the tools away from me, and I'm not responsible.
This is really starting to sound like an agenda item. That's not on the agenda.
So I'm requesting that we put
You have a final.
with previous levels.
Okay, can we have a short comment from Chandler, please? Because
You have another meeting on the budget coming up, so
yeah,
I mean, we can go as the commission feels, but the budget conversation is closed for tonight.
well, we can't. Yeah.
So-
I spoke to David earlier today, and he said we can amend the budget or
Right, that would have to be in another official meeting.
You can't do it here.
Can't do it here.
The budget hearing. This is
It's
a
not the
commission.
budget hearing.
know that, but we can do that at a later date.
Between that meeting, between this meeting and the next one, changes can be done.
Good.
So that
You would
is
have to have another meeting to have that full discussion.
Yep.
Okay.
And then at that time, we can have that conversation. I've spoke with the town clerk about, why we're, making those recommendations. It's ultimately up to the commission to decide how to move forward with those services. But,
We need to be in compliance.
right, well, this is more than just about compliance because I didn't have my speak on this and it's gotten late. So we're not going to drag that conversation out tonight. But if you want to know the fiscal impact behind that, we could have had that conversation during the budget, but it didn't come up. No one made any reference to the town clerk's department. So it was never discussed in detail. Now we're discussing it in detail after the fact. So the other side of the coin about fiscal impact to the city was never presented, and you still haven't heard it. So that's unfair to David, your finance director, and the whole process of budget development right now in this hour. So we're welcome to readdress this issue specifically for this department and show you, why those cuts were made, and also explain to you that some of what was explained tonight is simply not true. You would not be out of compliance if we move in another direction. Again, there's 2 sides to this coin. The town clerk is correct. We need a document system. We need an accountability system for our documents. We need to be able to do public records requests in a timely manner. And I completely agree with her, and she knows that. There's an easier way to do it and a quicker way to do it. And we've been at this for 5 years, and we're still doing it with a guy that's doing it at a part-time rate in hours. He's not doing it 8 hours a day. And that's a fact because he comes downstairs and he monitors the phone for about 3 or 4 hours. It happens every day.
That's not what's happening.
That's-
I'm very sorry.
That's
The
town clerk. Let me finish. But let me finish. That's what's happening. And
Because Ms. D passed away.
Marlon, let me finish. So we're not crippling the town clerk's office. We're just not.
So you're saying
There's a serious fiscal impact that has occurred in that department that no one's paid attention to. Now, does that mean we're, walking away and leaving the town clerk handicapped. Of course not. We want to apply a more modern approach that every other town has to ensure that we can get through this process of scanning, shredding, documenting, etc. And there is a better way to do it than a one-man team. That's a fact. Because you've wasted more money with that one-man show than you would ever for a modern facility coming in and doing it. That's a fact. We've gotten 3 separate quotes, and all of those quotes fall nearly 70% less than what you paid out in manpower to try to get this done in 4 years. That's a fact.
Okay, I think there's something we have to look into at a workshop.
But I just want to make it clear that I just want to make it clear that I'm not here to handicap anyone or make someone's job harder. We actually think this is going to make the town clerk's office work even more efficient. And if there's a rebuttal to that, that's fine. If the commission decides we need to continue how we're doing record documentation and storage, we'll support that. We have no problem with that. We're just trying to streamline the process.
As long as we're in compliance, let's look at it at a workshop and find out what you got of bids, and because we haven't seen any of that.
No, that's why I said, that should have came out in the budget discussion and not at the end of the meeting. That's unfair to David and myself and others who worked on this.
I was not aware these cuts were been pushed through. I did not, and I think, was it Mr. Hodgkins? You have a comment on that?
Yeah, I don't think that you should have any business whatsoever going in and cutting people's departments and stuff without any kind of notification, just because you want to form a new department. And
Commissioner Hodgkins,
behind it, sir.
Commissioner Hodgkins, this has nothing to do with a new department.
Without notifying me and just cut my budget by 40% and then not even let anybody know about it.
Well, sir,
That's not the way things should be done.
With all due respect, this is why this town needs budget workshops. And this is why you don't walk into a meeting in a hearing for a budget hearing and not have those previous discussions. We're unable to have these discussions because we don't have budget workshops. Now, to your point 1, we did not make cuts to create another department. We already had funding for that new department, so this is not what that's about. So let's clear that off the table completely, because the new department has no real budget effect on your 2024-25 budget. That's for fact, because all of the folks that are working in that new department are currently already working for your town. So there's no budget impact. We're trying to streamline a department so it can work more efficiently. Now, as I said before, you make the final decision as the commission, but hear both sides of the coin and then make a decision. This is just your decision, not mine. It's something that we looked at from operational assessments for the last 90 days, and it's not just this department that has a glowing red flag on it. There are many red flags that we found, many. We didn't get to that report tonight.
Okay, I'll take you up on the word with the workshop for budgets. Can we move on with your reports? And then,
Can I say just one last thing, please?
Short.
Commission Manager Williamson and myself have had multiple discussions. We've spoken about all this information that I provided, and we have, we will agree to disagree. This is not about you putting it back on a workshop. This is simple because I won't be able to do the job. And I just need you to be aware of it. And the reason is because 90% of what's happening right now, I've been able to survive all these months because of having that employee help me with public records requests. And I won't have that anymore. And after he's no longer once he's no longer in that position, it'll be retrieving those documents that will be the issue. And he hasn't been in the position for 5 years. He's been in the position since 2021. And what he's done with that area is remarkable. So, you know, we can agree to disagree. And you're right, it is always cheaper to do it through a company, without a doubt. But they're not going to give the town what we need to then be able to retrieve those documents. And that's my concern. And after that person's no longer around, to get somebody to be able to do that again, we're just going back in time. When I got here, there was 4 years of minutes that were not done. There was resolutions and ordinances that I had to redo. And now doing this, the compliance section that I mentioned is about submitting yearly that document. A company will not give me that document because they don't deal with the state of Florida. So that's why I said that. Same thing with if I fall behind on things, OIG will be here. But again, I must put it on the record so you are aware of what certain things happening in that budget will do for me.
Okay, then.
And putting it forth as a workshop, to be honest, sir, it's already too late. In 2 weeks, when we have that second budget, if my budget is not fixed by then, there will be issues. But again, that's up to this commission to go to the manager and go to the finance director and make their statement.
Yeah, I need.
Thank you all very much for
I've
listening
already
to me.
spoke with the finance director. He told me he would put that position back.
That's what I heard.
Okay.
And so there's no reason for this gentleman to be let go at this point in time, especially we don't have any contracts with anybody to do anything as far as those records go. And in the meantime, we need to keep moving forward to getting some of them done, whatever we're doing.
When I put these positions in place, we were in a very different spot in the town. Right now, we're just wasting money. We're wasting money every which way. There is no fiscal responsibility in this town when it comes to anything. You guys haven't done anything in the last year and a half you've been here that's really put the town forward, except put people in positions that put stops and progress to this. We're now having a discussion that we should not be having because this is a budget discussion, not a commission meeting discussion. We had the budget hearing earlier when this should have been discussed, but it wasn't.
No,
But I'm
because-
starting to see a lot that is really starting to raise red flag with me here. Like maybe the fact our last commission meeting and none of y'all showed up might have had something to do with this. You know, I know the town clerk has the OIG on speed dial. That's everybody knows that. They don't even ask for stuff. They're just sent stuff continuously. Y'all sit up here, think you know what's going on in the town, and you have absolutely no clue whatsoever.
Well, we're trying to find out.
No, you
going
don't.
on,
That's
but,
the problem. You believe the BS that you were fed by the town clerk and the mayor nonstop. You guys are fed so much crap, and you guys continue to believe it over and over
Town
again.
manager finish his report.
Go ahead, town manager. Please finish.
Thank you. Vice Mayor, Commission, again, we'll certainly will follow your directions for the budget and ensure that our town clerk has the right support that she needs to ensure that we're in compliance. That's my statement for that. As far as any other reports, in lieu of some of the decisions we made here tonight, I would, prefer not to bring those reports forward. I don't have much at this time. We were still working on a 90-day report, like the police department. They've been here a little longer than I have, but we'll suspend that report for tonight. I just want to put it on the record that, we want to support the clerk's office in ensuring that they have the services and the support that they need to be successful.
Thank you.
Yep.
And,
That's good to hear. We'll hold you to it.
okay, and commission reports, I think you're more or less finished, Mr. Jacobs. So you have
No,
more?
I am not. You guys buy everything you're fed. You guys bought it from Assura before you come up here. You got that I'm creating the hostile work environment up here, which I wasn't. All I did was come in just like Chandler to clean this place up. He's done a hell of a good job at cleaning this town up in the last 3 months or 90 days he's been here. Just like the police chief came into an absolute disaster. That's every single aspect of this town. And there's a handful of bad apples that continue to feed you guys full of this stuff, and you buy it because you don't know any better. I've sat up here for telling you guys for the last year and a half, and you don't buy it. You make me out to be the bad guy because I came in here to clean this place up, and I worked very diligently to do that. I got the benefits back on track. I got an organizational structure back on track. I got people in here to clean up. The records were piled. That room is the same size as this room we're sitting in right now and was floor to ceiling records. Yes, it is clean, but we wasted nearly $400,000 on staffing where that could have been done for $40,000. That's not fiscally responsible, and that's not good for the taxpayers. We are a small town where the clerk can handle the clerk's office and not need a staff to do her job for her. She sat up here before and told you guys that she's not going to do public records requests. That's not her job. But under state statute, it's exactly what it says her job is. So this has been ongoing and ongoing and ongoing for a long time. I don't know when it's going to come to an end, how it's going to happen, but putting money back into that department right now that was cut out in the budget, I think is a horrible idea. Plus, we're going to have another meeting to discuss it.
Yes.
You know, if we're going to do that, there's other things we want to discuss, like the IT budget. You know, there's things that we need to put on there to actually save the town some money, you know? So a lot of different things we can do, but I'm not liking how this commission meeting came out tonight. And I'm really starting to believe that I really feel it, that y'all were manipulated into not showing up to that last meeting, because what are the odds all four of you were sick at the same time?
That's speculation.
Then
Thank you.
Then we got, and it is speculation, but it's my speculation because
Yeah, but-
y'all communicate in sunshine, outside of sunshine, continuously about stuff going on here, but yet you've not been held accountable. Well, you guys' day is coming. You guys are going to be held accountable at some point for all the stuff you're doing that is not legal, unethical, immoral, and it's going to happen. So that's all I have for the rest of the evening.
Thank you. Commissioner Kashim?
No comments.
Commissioner Hoskins, any more?
No, I think I'm pretty good. I think I said what I needed to. Thank you.
Okay, I'm also good. And so we have an announcement here, 16-1, special magistrate hearing, Wednesday, September 18th at 9 a.m. Final budget hearing, Wednesday, September 25th at 6 p.m. Workshop commission meeting, Wednesday, September 25th at 7 p.m. Motion to adjourn?
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Marlon.
Good night, sir. Have a good evening.
You too.